peptuna, a 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 peptuna. 두 손 모아 찬양해 a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna. 너무 좋아, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna. 성은 고추 이름은 참치라 you know. 태평양 다랑어 출신 밥도둑으로 유명 간장게 게장 스팸과 어깨를 나란히 아지도 말없이 참치 캔을 찾았지. 어딨니 집 앞 슈퍼에서 농가에 숨바꼭질 잡았다 연서거나 그 놈은 없는 거니. 살코기 참치와 비교되는 이 사이즈 고추가 비싼 간에 주변엔 고추만 있어. 너 같은 집으로 난 컴백 밥상 위에다가 조심히 drop that. 페퍼투나 캔들 때 방심하면 안돼. 손가락 케첩 범벅돼. 잘 익은 고추 참치를 흰밥에 비벼 you know what it is. 깨놓은 감추도 더 많았긴 이를 보장하지. 누구를 생각 뚝딱 비워버렸어 반찬 중에 갑. A peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna. 두 손 모아 찬양해 a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna. 너무 좋아 a peptuna. 남길 수 없는 작은 양 때문인지 흔적을 절대 남기지 않아. 빨간색과 매콤달콤함 더하기 고추향은 해산물 못 먹는 친구도 앞니 사이에 딱. 고춧가루로 수놓게 하지. 고추 참치의 힘에 파워라지. 외관 합법적인 마약 한 젓가락 하면 바로 느낌이란 게 오잖아. 반찬으로 예사명을 끝내고 나서 빈캔을 들고 집 앞 좀 보대. 두면 이게 바로 배지 할머니와 환상 콜라보. 서로 상부상조해 아름다워. 핫탑 페퍼투나 동시대 고추 참치와 태어났어 나. Oh my god 아빠 엄마 진심으로 모아 감사. A peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna. 두 손 모아 찬양해 a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna. 너무 좋아 a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna, a peptuna.
We are living our lives about with so much information. Come on, let go of the remote. Don't you know you let it on a junk for them? Try to flip the road, double cooking on a go, but I know use. Hey, I've been cuisine, loading, loading, loading. Quick free, reach maximum capacity. Want it, want it, want it. Gonna show you my identity. Get up on your feet, tear down the walls. Catch your breeze over the world. Snooping round and we'll get you nowhere. You look tough in your mind. We all dropping our lanes of relationships. Life goes on with or without you. I swim in the sea of the unconscious. I search for your heart, pursue my true self.
Well, hello everybody, happy Friday, and holy shit, this week ended with a fucking bomb and a half. I thought it was going to be a very fucking slow news week, and I was digging the bottom of the barrel. We had the return of our king, Peter Molyneux, showing up in a big interview, and then he just got BTFO'd by other shit that's going on with Xbox, but we'll get to that right away after this. First off, thank you everyone for joining us, and joining me is my buddy, my friend, and my co-host, Mr. Cream Nato. How you doing, buddy?
You know, I'm doing pretty good, all considering. Wow, what a fucking news day, huh?
Yeah.
Can we get F's in the chat for our boy Peter Molyneux, who had like this huge interview with Game Business News, and then like, yeah, no one cares because Todd Howard did an interview, and then also the Phil Spencer stuff.
Yes, there's massive changes going on in Microsoft's leadership. And I guess we could just get started right there with our first news story of the day, which just happened a few hours ago. So it's really, really fresh. This comes by the way of IGN, and links to this article will be posted later. I'm just going to make this a little bigger. And it says right here, exclusive: Phil Spencer retiring, Sarah Bond out, Matt Booty promoted as Microsoft's AI exec, Asha Sharma named new Xbox exclusive over here. So first off here, we got some information going on here. Microsoft's gaming CEO Phil Spencer, who has been at Microsoft since he joined as an intern in 1988, before I was even born and before you were even born there, Cream. Yep. And with Xbox since the software giant launched its first console in 2001, is retiring. Sources familiar with the matter who are not authorized to speak publicly confirmed to IGN. Spencer's retirement is effective as of this upcoming Monday, February 23rd. Meanwhile, Xbox President Sarah Bond, long thought to many to be by many both inside and outside of Microsoft to be Spencer's heir apparent, has resigned as well. So, holy shit, Cream, what do you make of that news right now?
Oh, Xbot bros were so cooked. That's what I'm thinking. It's never a good sign when you see a big shift like this, and especially considering, like, yes, is Xbox like in the worst position ever? No, but it's definitely not in the position that they want to be in or that they could be in. I mean, consider it, like, really, and I think a lot of people have said this, it was the worst, like the worst console generation to lose was the last one, the PS4 and the Xbox, because it's just getting to the point where consoles have less of an impact. Not saying they don't, and I think even with like RAM shortages and you know, PC gaming just becoming more costly again, I do think that they're going to have a bit of a resurgence. But the problem is the ecosystems as well as those consoles. I mean, it's basically the same ecosystem for the Xbox One and the series, right? So to be, you know, to lose that generation was pretty bad. Now, they've had some pluses. Game Pass absolutely was killing it there for a long while. I haven't seen any numbers since the price hike. I would assume that it's kind of slowed growth. And again, they need a lot of growth in order to make that profitable. I mean, they have to get a lot of people signed up, as well as that they bet a lot of money on cloud gaming, it's not there yet. It will at some point, but it's too early. So they may end up getting into a position where they put too many eggs in that basket before it's fully woven. All that to say, yeah, Xbox is in a bad position, and it's probably time for a change. The fact that they got rid of basically everyone except for Matt Booty is really interesting. And having this connect with their like AI division is very concerning to me. But I guess time will only tell what happens with it. But
yeah, I just want to read this little quote here from the CEO, I would say, Satya Nadia. I want to thank Phil for his extraordinary leadership and partnership, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said in an email sent to Microsoft staff. Over 38 years at Microsoft, including 12 years leading gaming, Phil helped transform what we do and how we do it. So there's some more stuff in this email here too. We'll get to the replacement of her credentials and everything too. But I kind of want to go off of what you're saying there, Cream. We did a whole thing about with me and Extra Zero, and you were the judge of it, the trial of Phil Spencer, and we put him on trial to see if he deserves all the blame, some of the blame, or if he's overhated. And we look back at Phil Spencer's tenure, and I always say this again: Phil Spencer basically saved Microsoft's gaming division because it sounded like they were about ready to close it off, well before even Satya came into power, you know?
Mhm.
And obviously, we remember the Xbox One generation, and how it had its ups and downs, and how PlayStation just basically ate its lunch, and how PlayStation basically became the global brand. I think I lost this interview, but they also had Sean Layden on, basically saying that Microsoft is only the leader in 7 countries versus PlayStation is the leader in 154 countries.
Yeah.
So that, like, right there, it's sad, but it's not like Microsoft in itself is all ready to get rid of that gaming division. It still makes a good amount of money for them, even on a down year a down quarter like this last quarter was. And there were plenty of reasons why for that. If we look at a bunch of the game sales in general, uh, a lot of the first party games that they sponsored and played, even when they were on PlayStation, just did not sell, millions upon millions of copies. And there's plenty of data to reflect that, and the numbers from the financials also prove this as well. And I look at him as just, I look at Microsoft in general when it comes to Xbox and the gaming division, just overall, as a very confusing one because we don't know who is really to blame. And I do think what we saw towards the end of last year, how basically everyone kind of went radio silent. You weren't seeing Sarah Bond out there doing as much PR. You don't see Aaron Greenberg on Twitter doing as much PR. Phil Spencer basically disappeared for months, he just went radio silent completely. And even Matt Booty wasn't really out there, talking to people. And it feels like there was just that massive issue between like the chief financial officers, other executives at Microsoft and Xbox, just constantly sending mixed messaging. And I think they tried to win back the PR battle in the Xbox One era by trying to get out there and do more stuff with the fans. But the problem is that you can't have this much forward-facing PR and constantly have internal China, metrics constantly changing. And I think that caused a lot of issues in this generation the most compared to last.
True. And look, who deserves the blame for Xbox being where it is? A lot of people. Part of that Sony for just having good marketing on the PS4. They did really well with that. Don Maddox, he deserves a lot of that. Hence why he's not with the company anymore. But I do think Phil bears some of the brunt of it as the head of the ship. If the ship's in a bad place, well, that's partly your fault. We have to look at like stuff like Halo Studios, which has been a fucking nightmare. And as a head, he shares some of that blame, and so does Sarah Bond, and so does Matt Booty. Are they all to blame for this? No, I think there's a lot of things. I think Microsoft putting a lot of money into AI and closing down some of these studios, that's also to blame, and that's a relatively new addition to this kind of pie of absolute dog shit that is known as current Xbox where it is. So I mean, good for Phil. He did save Xbox. You have to give him that, whether you like him or hate him. He did save the Xbox from basically dying a sad, pathetic death. What happens with it going forward? Who knows? I think it's going to be the same old, same old. I think they're going to keep putting money into AI. It's very clear that they're trying to be on the cutting edge. The problem is we don't know what the cutting edge is really going to lead to. So it may end up being they spend all this money to, be into cloud gaming and AI development, and it turns out that it just isn't working as well as it was supposed to. Also, when the AI bubble bursts, that's going to be a problem. It's going to really affect Microsoft. And by default, it's going to end up affecting Xbox. So we'll see what happens.
It's always hard. I feel like for me, when we cover so much gaming news and when we talk about so much gaming news, we look at the whole state of the industry. And a lot of what Microsoft did was I think they bought a little too much during the COVID bubble. Obviously, they bought Activision Blizzard. They bought Bethesda, or should I say ZeniMax proper. That's what the parent company was for Bethesda. And honestly, I think when they bought Activision Blizzard, they fundamentally changed what their output was going to be. Because it seemed everything once they bought ZeniMax was, okay, we're going to make everything exclusive. Starfield's going to be exclusive. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be exclusive, to our PC and our Xbox platforms and everything else like that. Then, of course, you had the drop of Hi-Fi Rush, the stealth drop that sadly nobody really played beyond basically the tutorial with Game Pass. Even though they had 3 million people play it,
Yep.
no one went out there and was buying it and sticking with it. I think that's been well proven. Even though the studio got saved by Krafton, which is a whole nother nightmare situation.
Yeah, that looked a lot better when it happened than it does now, especially considering what's going on with Subnautica 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, we look across this game industry and we see the problems, like you pointed out. AI, layoffs, restructures. But at the same time, we've all pointed this out. Bad reviewing games, over, bloated budgets, way too many redundant positions that they keep hiring, firing, lots of turnover. Too many cooks in the kitchen. We even saw that with Sony, with their whole live service debacle and everything else too. And well, we'll talk about it later, but we look at Nintendo, and Nintendo's got problems. Like, everyone seems to be able to find something they don't like that's going on in the game industry. And we can't, let's just be honest here. We can't just put makeup over the black eye. All right. We all see the eye's puffy. You can barely open it, but you could still function with a black eye. But there's still a lot of problems in gaming that need to be addressed. And like you said, how is the industry going to adapt to AI? We saw the AI controversy with things like Arc Raiders with their AI voice. We see constant, like Expedition 33 lost a award for generative AI that they used to make part of their game. When I think it was for background stuff they were working on. And then they later replaced it. Call of Duty 7 or Black Ops 7 with the little tags, AI artwork that was popping up. Everyone was complaining about that. And this will go into other aspects that we'll talk about later, but we see something like High Guard that was getting a bunch of praise and, this game's going to be the next big thing. And it comes out and it just kind of flops. And then we read the interviews from some of these devs, and it's just caught them off guard and stuff like that. Obviously, we talk about price hikes and everything else, and what's the problem here, there, everywhere. Is it tariffs? Is it this? Is it that? And, from the start of this generation, Sony came out and said, we're doing $70 games right away. It's just like, you're going to have to pay $70 for a game. And across the board, every video game maker has roughly raised all their game prices by $10. What used to be a $60 standard is now $70, and what used to be a $40 is now a $50 standard. And it gets into that big thing. We see what Microsoft's doing. They have a Game Pass thing, and obviously it's going to cannibalize sales. And what goes up in price per month for Game Pass Ultimate, what you get going up with like. Oh shit, I'm just thinking. Like, what is a monthly subscription? What is a single buy game? When do people buy games on sale? Do they hit a quota? We've seen it with other games too, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where it sold 3 million copies and Square Enix is saying it underperformed.
Yeah. Look, the whole gaming landscape, I mean, for consoles especially, we're in a rough place with consoles. Xbox, if we're talking about manufacturing end, they are in the worst position. Publishing end, they're in the better position. If you exclude the fact that Nintendo's budgets are usually more reined in, although again they're having troubles. It just seems like everyone is spending way too much money. It's not just a gaming situation. I think a lot of companies are spending a lot of money that they don't have because they think it's the 2010s with super low interest rates and no inflation and things are all peachy. We're all going to be okay. We'll just, throw a bunch of money into this and a bunch of money into that, and if nothing comes of it, it's who cares, we're making so much money. It's a little different nowadays.
Well, we hear these unsustainable budgets. Remember Halo Infinite, the Slip Space engine, $500 million. Call of Duty Black Ops, $750 million to make. Spider-Man 2 went from, I think, a $80 million budget to a $250 million budget. And then on top of that, too, we saw that the deals that they made with Disney for every bundle that they sold and every game they sold, they were getting raked over coals. Like, that's 50% on top of what, right off of every sale went to Disney, I think.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. We're just in a place where people are spending way too much money, which is the one refreshing thing about indie games. I always like to bring up indie and AA because budgets are more reined in, especially on indie. I mean, if you have a budget as an indie game, you're top 1%. Most of them are very little budgets. A lot of them are just being done by people in their free time.
Yeah.
But if you have a good game idea and a little bit of social media know-how, you can get that game out to everyone and rake in a ton of money, allowing you to do, like, for example, the guy who made Schedule 1. I think that's one of the best stories of it all. He's bought an office and hired people. He's actually created now his own game studio, a small one, but that's the type of effect that these indie games can have, whereas you look at Microsoft and it's never, we're hiring people. It's always mass layoffs. Same with Sony, same with Nintendo. Actually, Nintendo, I will say with Nintendo, as much as there's problems with Nintendo, they don't do the mass hiring and firing. That's not really part of Japanese business culture. You more hire someone in the hopes that they stay there for life.
Yeah.
So that's just like a cultural difference. But with Sony and Microsoft, with the more Western business focus, it is very much, oh, we have money, let's hire people. Oh, we have no money, fire them all. Come on. And it really does affect the quality of games. It affects marketing, it affects everything. I mean, like, look at all these games that have been canceled, right? For better or for worse, we're not getting Perfect Dark, are we?
Yeah.
Well, there's always rumors that someone wants to pick it up. No, I mean, we're not getting that game, and we're also not getting whatever God of War live service crap that Sony wanted to do, right?
Yeah, and if I may put a little caveat to this too, or not a caveat, but add more to this. It goes back to what we're talking about too, of who do we really blame for a lot of this stuff as well, because I feel like this is the catch-22. Everyone wants a game to be delayed constantly, and the old saying everyone kind of goes back to is a bad game will always be bad if it's like rushed out or something. I forget the exact quote, but it's the one that everyone attributes to Miyamoto. And always just kind of puts it like, oh, it's just delayed a game. And it's just like we were talking about with Perfect Dark. That game was in a development for 6 years.
Yeah.
And they still seem to not have any direction. They had to hire an outside studio to help create and try to push it through the finish line. And after a certain point in time, when does it become acceptable for a studio just to cut bait and just say we're not getting anything out of it and we need to end it, versus when do they have something stay in development hell for too long and then you get something like, say, Vampire Masquerade 2,
Yeah. I mean, remember, remember, freaking, what's it called? Oh my god, we just said the name of the game. It was supposed to be the first ever quadruple A game of all time.
Skull and Bones.
No, Skull and Bones came out.
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark.
Dark.
Yeah. Perfect Dark was announced, and it was the first ever quadruple A game of all time. I was literally sitting at my computer, and I literally like yelled out, "What the fuck is a quadruple A game?" Like, I was just like, "What the fuck does that even mean?"
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's problems with Xbox. There's problems with all the console developers.
There's just a problem with having, a studio of 250 devs just working on a game. On top of that, all the contractors and hired out, support studios and stuff like that.
Well,
when you look at like a AAA game, sometimes it's like look at Bethesda. Like go to the end of Starfield, and it's like we got id on it, we got Tango, we got Arcane, we got whole hands on deck of making this game.
I would say the real problem then isn't that they have a ton of people, because they, AAA in the 10 years ago they had a ton of people working on games, and we got some really good games. I think what it is that they're putting a lot of people to work on dog crap.
This is where I tread a little lightly for this stuff. It's subjective about if you like a game or if you don't like a game. Art is always going to be that way, generally speaking. And when this is my biggest problem, and I think we're going to talk more about this with, like, say, High Guard and everything too. You never know what's going to be a hit until it becomes a hit, And even when we talk about indie games, there's a lot of just dog shit indie games. Like, you go on Steam right now.
Oh yeah.
You check out what comes out, and there's just so much like hentai games. There's so many, I mean,
those are our favorites, but
yeah. Well, there's like so many carbon copy clones, cheap grabbins. Like, remember when all the anti-woke boys were pushing that Yasuke simulator for like 3 days?
Yeah. Remember Andy Pants Gaming had his own game that had like CP in it or something.
Yeah,
like some crazy crap.
Like, it's stuff like that where it's just like we like to promote an underdog story. Indie games are underdogs, and we love to see them succeed, especially when games like Peak, Schedule 1. What's the other one that was
Repo?
Yeah, that's it. Like, those are fun. They all have very basic game loops. They're all very fun. They're all very cheap, and you can do it with your friends, and you can do it for about a week, and it's like, yeah, I spent $10. That's cheaper than going to the movie to see a movie now,
Yeah.
And on top of that too, we go to, say, for like Nasmer says he says over here, Sony didn't give a rat's ass about Helldivers, funny enough, and it was their best thing in ages. And that's what I mean when we talk about other things when it comes to free to play models. When you were on when I showed that Donkey video, and Donkey is going through High Guard, and he goes, "Oh, High Guard's free to play. Nobody would ever want to spend money on a game." Unless it's Arc Raiders, and stuff like that. Like, Arc Raiders comes out, it's fun and it's great. Helldivers comes out, it's fun, it's great. Everyone's having fun. It's getting good support. They keep going on. It has a good streamer audience. Like, that stuff helps. Like, all that stuff helps. And it is just hard to compete in a field. I mean, we're sports fans. There are 32 teams in the NHL, all right? And only one of those teams is going to win the Stanley Cup, and only out of that, I think 8 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, something like that. It's a really low number.
Yeah, so
everyone else gets thrown in the lottery.
Yeah, so if we look at all this information that we just put out there, it's the same thing with everything. There's always going to be just the one champion, the other really good contenders, and then a bunch of fucking people just trying to maintain an audience to make it to next season.
True. I think really what this comes down to is not all games are created equal. There are just some games that are better than others. I mean, and it's, look, that doesn't mean that like people are pieces of crap because they made a bad game or whatever. It's just the nature of sometimes it just doesn't land.
Yeah.
But you do have to readjust what you're doing as a studio if you have a couple games that don't land how they're supposed to.
Yeah. No, you're 100%
again,
right.
With Xbox, COD not landing the way it was supposed to this year, that's a lot on them, and they have to kind of reflect and see what can we do differently. They've talked about doing that. The problem is they did that before, and then they didn't do any difference. Like they didn't change it. They said, "Oh, we'll add AI." Like that was AI Santa Claus graphics. How about that?
I think what we're seeing a lot of problems is with these IP fatigues. You know what I mean? Because a lot of their big money makers for Microsoft, they're big money makers right now. They're going to be Fallout. It's going to be Halo. It's going to be Forza. It's going to be Call of Duty, and it's going to be Minecraft. Off the top of my head, those are going to be all your big money makers right now. And specifically, I'm saying Fallout right now because it's hot. It's in the news. Every time a Fallout season comes out, you see a spike in sales and engagement, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Minecraft is a whole juggernaut on its own. It just doesn't seem to want to die, and it still keeps going. But I digress. I'm getting off the point here. We've, as gamers, you know, all of us probably in the audience and all of us, you know, you and I talking right now can probably agree that we've seen the issues with Call of Duty coming for a long time. And it does feel like they get a dead cat bounce every couple years where a Call of Duty game comes out and it still does good enough where people can just ignore it. But like then like last year. And then there's always going to be that follow-up year where it just tanks, underperforms, and you know, I wouldn't say tanks. Like they still make enough to justify their costs, but it underperforms from like the year prior. So like when Modern Warfare 3 came out, I think it was an underperformer from Modern Warfare 2. You know?
And just like with Black Ops 7 and Black Ops 6.
Yeah. And like there's been bad Call of Duties. It's all about the comeback and everything.
I think there's been more bad Call of Duties at this point than good ones.
I agree with you, but I think well, let me ask you, how often do you buy a Call of Duty game?
Oh, I try not to. I really try not to. Honestly,
let me rephrase that. What was the last time you bought a brand new Call of Duty game? Just
the last time I bought. Yes. If we're not including Game Pass for Black Ops 6,
Game Pass,
it was Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah. See, the last time I bought a Call of Duty game was Cold War, and that was just because I wanted something to play on my Xbox when I got it. You know. So, it's been years for me, and even then, Call of Duty Cold War bricked my Xbox One, so I stopped playing it.
Oh no, you were one of those people.
I was one of the unlucky ones. But just like we're saying, we knew Microsoft was buying, you know, ABK at a discount. All right, let's just be fair here. We knew that the studios that they were hiring and the work that they were going to have to put in was going to be tough once they got them in there. I mean, we saw what was going on with Overwatch. We saw what's going on with Diablo. We saw what's going on with World of Warcraft. You know, and that's just from Blizzard. They're basically trying to reinvent everything. Hell, they said, fuck it, we're doing the Coke Classic, approach to Overwatch now, you know? But they acknowledge, like, yeah, Overwatch 2, that sucked. Here's the nice cold taste of the original recipe of Coke, you know? And, you know, like I said, it sounds like we're kind of just shitting on Phil Spencer's legacy a little bit here too, but you know, the problem with like a snake, when it tries to eat too much, it can choke to death. And I do think a lot of that disruption, everything seemed to make sense. And then ABK happens, and then it just feels like that SpongeBob meme where it's just all the SpongeBobs running around with everything on fire. And that's what it feels like was the consequence of buying ABK, where it really went off the rails.
True. The one thing I would say is they have so many properties with so much you can do with, like, I mean, you can do so much with COD, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's not worst case scenario. They are going to be okay. They just need to, they really do need to figure out what the hell they're doing. Like, yes, it's great to have all this stuff you want to do and future proof your company, but you can't do it at the expense of your company currently. That's a bad business model. You need to find a way of balancing the two out. So will they actually be able to do that? I don't know. They haven't. I don't think they did a very good job of balancing it out currently. I think they could do a lot better. So hopefully they do, because I don't want to see any of these fucking companies go under. I mean, it's part of my childhood. I was a Sony boy, all right, back in the day. Back in the day, but I liked the Xbox. You know, I was like, oh, good. I can make fun of people for having Xboxes. I can't do that now. If somebody, what am I going to make fun of somebody for having like an Asus motherboard or something? Like that's it's kind of cringe, really.
Yeah. But to kind of continue more with this article, because I want to talk about his replacement. Today marks an exciting new chapter for Microsoft Gaming as Asa Sharma, I think that's how you say her name, excuse me if I didn't get that right, steps into the role of CEO, and I want to be the first one to welcome her to this incredible team. Working with her over the past several months has given me tremendous confidence. She brings genuine curiosity, clarity, and a deep commitment to understanding players, creators, and the decisions that shape our future. We know this is an important moment for our fans, partners, and team, and we're committed to getting it right. I'll remain in an advisory role through the summer to support a smooth handoff. So basically that's what Phil Spencer's future is right now. Says over here, Sharma is a former VP of production and engineering at Meta and former Instacart COO, who is also a board member of the Home Depot. She joined Microsoft in 2004. In her email to Microsoft staff, she wrote, in part, my first job is simple, understand what makes this work and protect it. That starts with with 3 committees. First, great games. Everything begins here. We must have great games, beloved by players before we do anything. Unforgettable characters, stories that make us feel, innovative gameplay, and creativity excellence. We will empower our studios, invest in iconic franchises, and back bold new ideas. We will take risks. We will enter new categories and markets where we can add real value, grounded in what players care about most. I promoted Matt Booty in honor of this commitment. He understands the craft and the challenges of building great games. He led teams that delivered award-winning work and has earned the trust of game developers across the industry. And I think that part right here is why Matt Booty got, kind of promoted here. He's going to be the guy that just talks to the creatives more so, probably as the middleman right now.
Yeah.
So let's finish this one. Second, the return of Xbox. We will recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, those who have invested with us for the past 25 years, and to the developers who built the expansive universes and experiences that are embraced by players across the world. We will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with consoles, which has shaped who we are. It connects us to the players and the fans who invest in Xbox, and to the developers who built ambitious experiences for it. Now, obviously here it says that she was part of the Meta team as well as Instacart's COO, and she's also on the board of Home Depot. I want to say a lot of people were kind of going off about her not being part of the gaming industry. And necessarily, I don't think that matters too much to be the head of a company all the time. I think really when you hire a CEO or be the head of a department, it's more so how do you make that department profitable and good. I forget the guy's name, but the guy who basically revitalized Crocs and Stanley, the drink, the white women symbol, those Stanley tumblers. I believe he was the same guy, and I don't think those two really have too much cross appeal, to be honest with you. And
No,
Reggie Fils-Aimé was also an outsider of the gaming industry too.
Yeah, he worked at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily important. You just need to have the right person.
Mm-hmm.
So the right person will be able to basically do enough market research, understand the product that they're selling,
Right,
and be able to place their product in the right, where it needs to be. Reggie's a perfect example of that. So if that's this person, I really hope it is. I really hope it is. I hope, for the sake of all the ex boys out there. But I don't know. I will believe it when I see it. I'm cautiously optimistic about Xbox.
I feel like that's the approach everyone should try to have with a major change. It's not like they promoted a fry cook, and they just said, like, we found some jag off at the local Redmond McDonald's, and he was good at flipping the fucking burgers, and we put him in charge of Xbox. I don't know too much about her history. I know Home Depot is pretty, well ran overall here in the States. I think it's the better ran company out of the two major ones in Lowe's and Home Depot. Everyone kind of gravitates more to Home Depot. I do like the first rah-rah message. It's a really good one to kind of rally up the base. It screams a very good developers, kind of meme. We'll have to see. Obviously, this is the 25th anniversary of Xbox this year. So that's going to be a big one for everyone to go out there and kind of get started. Obviously, we saw this year Microsoft's releasing Fable. Microsoft's releasing Halo, Gears E-Day, Forza Horizon's going to Japan. So they already have a very big lineup of all their major IPs. Like, they're ready to go. They're firing on all cylinders. They want to make this year big. And if she takes over, obviously this year probably won't be her year, because everything is still basically under Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. So all these games that are coming out are going to start clearing out of her predecessors before we can obviously give her any chance to see what happens. Obviously, with the new console launch, that's going to be all her.
Yeah, well, yeah, to an extent. I still think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's been set in stone, but yeah, she's going to have way more of an impact on that, and games that are going to be like 2 years out from now. I think a lot of the stuff that's going to be coming out this year, next year. Well, this stuff this year is basically all set in stone.
Yeah.
Next year, I think a lot of that's already been in place.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to have a situation where something could be good and then with meddling it's bad. So you may just let that stuff slide. There's definitely going to be a grace period that they have for her, especially with how gaming works. It's not like you can just go and build a game and have it come out like real quick. Not the way the AAA studios do it. So it will take time. So we'll wait and see. But it is crazy news to see Big Philly S himself retire.
Yeah. I'll finish up these last two paragraphs, and then we'll move on to Sarah Bond, because there was an update from her as well. So to finish up the rest of this quote, just two more paragraphs. Gaming now lives across devices, not within the limits of any single piece of hardware. As we expand across PC, mobile, and cloud, Xbox should feel seamless, instant, and worthy of the communities we serve. We will break down barriers so developers can build once and reach players everywhere without compromise. Third, future of play. We are witnessing the revolution of play. To meet the moment, we will invent new business models and new ways to play by leaning into what we already have. Iconic teams, characters, and worlds that people love. But we will not treat those worlds as static IPs to milk and monetize. We will build a shared platform of tools to empower devs and players to create and share their own ideas. I do find that very interesting, that she actually said the words "to milk and monetize." I think that's a very, very interesting way to put it.
It is. It's yeah, that's one where we're gonna have to wait and see on that one, huh?
Yeah. If I feel like this is the best time, obviously, like you were saying, when do you replace leadership? You were basically saying, do you do it after a console launch? I think this is a good time to do it. You give this lady enough time to kind of bring her vision together, kind of work and prepare a launch her way. Because Phil Spencer already had a console launch. In fact, he had two.
Yep.
And the series console launch, I think, was not a total disaster, but I think it could have been better. I think the Series X and S was a good idea on paper, but it just did not hit the mark as well as I think it could have.
It was complicated marketing too. Like just a little thing of, we have two consoles. You know what Sony did? They said, yeah, we have two consoles. Here's the physical disc version and here's the digital version. If you had just said Xbox Series Digital, Xbox Series, I think that would have negated a lot of problems with their launch, like a lot. Yeah. I think the average person who was looking to pick up a console for their like kid or whatever was really fucking confused as to what, like, are these two different things?
Yeah, and this part, I think you would like, you'd be interested in hearing. As monetization and AI evolve and influence this future, we will not chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. She actually said AI slop. That's fucking funny as shit. Games are and always will be art crafted by humans and created with the most innovative technology provided by us. So she definitely has her PR down. I will say that much. She definitely has
Hey, you know what? That's half the battle right there.
Yeah. So now, words are just words. So I would like to hear, see it put into, finally, I'm tongue tied. You know what I'm trying to say.
Let's hear from Sarah Bond.
Yes. Cut the fucking put brass to tax. Let's see what it is. You got a grace period. Now let's run with it. So here is Sarah Bond now. I believe this is from LinkedIn, saying sharing with gratitude the note I sent to my team today. Grateful to our players, developers, partners, and teams. Forever a fan of Xbox. Hi team. I know there's a lot of news to take in today. I'm incredibly proud of what we've built together over the past 8+ years, PC and cloud gaming, and growing faster than ever. Our next console is well underway, and together we've helped lay the foundation for a more open gaming platform that spans devices and reaches players around the world. When we announced our intention to acquire Activision Blizzard in 2022, I committed to helping lead Xbox through what would be a critical period of change. Over the past 4 years, we've navigated the moment together and positioned the business for what comes next. We took on some of our biggest challenges this organization has ever faced and did it as one team. It continues on over here. With that, I've decided this is the right time for me to take the next step, both personally and professionally. We're living through a transformative technological era that will shape the next generation of our industry, and I'm energized by what's ahead. This moment also presents a unique opportunity for fresh eyes and new leadership to guide the team into the next chapter. I agree with the statement. I've had the privilege of spending time with Asha over the last few weeks as we've planned for this transition, and I've seen firsthand her deep commitment to our players, developers, and brand. She brings deep technology and commerce experience along with a strong track record of building and scaling platforms that the world uses. Xbox deserves this, and I'm excited to see her lead this next chapter for our teams. I'll remain on as a special advisor to her to help ensure a smooth transition and set the organization up for continued everything else. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Let's just kind of leave it right there. I think, honestly, Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond were basically forced out. I
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I figured. I think they gave Phil the dignity of a forced retirement, and Sarah Bond, they just said, fucking say you quit. Yeah. It's, I will be on an advisory role. It's like, I'm here to tell her what passwords are to which accounts, and then I'm leaving. That's basically what it is.
I think she left because she got passed over. I think let's just be honest here.
Maybe. That probably... That makes sense. And then they promoted Matt Booty, so I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. Matt Booty's. I don't know.
I think Matt Booty's good at what his job probably entails him to be. You know?
Yeah, and now he's got a new job. So we'll see if he's good at that one too, or if he's a one-trick pony.
I think he is a one-trick pony, and I think that's why they promoted him, just to be that one-trick pony for this new CEO. That's really what I think it is.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't, to be honest with you, and I'm going to be honest, I don't understand the disdain for Matt Booty per se. Other than
stinks, pun intended.
I'll let you explain it to me. I want you to explain it to me.
No, I mean I don't have like a big problem with Matt Booty. It's more of his name, really. I just don't know if he's the most competent person. But again, I'm also not the person making the decisions. It just seems weird that he's the one promoted while you're getting rid of Phil. I have more faith in Phil than I would in Matt Booty. Sarah Bond is probably I would put her in the same position as Matt Booty, where I'm not quite sure actually what they really fucking bring to the table, other than just being someone to absorb oxygen and lay people off. like I'm really not sure what else they friggin' do at this point. So I feel like Xbox has become, with the three of them, it was too many cooks in the kitchen for the executives. It felt like it was just like, Sarah Bond's here, and then Phil's also here, and then like Bat Booty's here, and then like it's a
pyramid structure though of all these corporations. I agree. I wish we could get clarity to know what they do here. From what we were reading, it feels like Matt Booty is the guy who talks to all these devs and studios and relays that information to people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the only reason they kept him around. I don't necessarily know if Matt Booty was the one that was pulling the trigger on a lot of this stuff. And obviously he wasn't the top guy, and he still isn't the top guy at the end of the day. Because they got an outsider in the company to basically now try to revitalize the gaming part of Microsoft. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, you know, because it's going to be, we'll see when the next generation starts. We'll see how the rest of this year progresses. It's only February.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a good time to install a new candidate when you have basically all your big plans for this year already laid out in terms of events, games that are coming out, and all the publishers. So she doesn't have to enter that situation making all those big decisions for herself right away. And she can do that next year for more of the upcoming titles. I think they set her up with a good soft handoff. Now she's going to have a real test when that new console launches, probably next year or a couple years from now. So, you know, we knew this was going to be a big topic basically today, and it almost was an hour of conversation. And even then, we could probably still talk about this for, another 2 hours on top of that. But
it's not the only news. It is the biggest news, but it isn't the only one.
It's the newest and it's the biggest. It was the Friday bombshell that a lot of these corporations love to drop on you.
Yep.
And like I said, I thought this week was going to be slow, and it turned out.
Yeah, the fact that Peter Molyneux is in the news shows you just kind of how slow the week actually was.
Yeah. Speaking of, we will have to do a whole episode, you and me, dedicated to that Peter Molyneux Part 2.
Oh, God. Yeah, I guess we will.
We got to.
Oh.
We are going to do a whole episode of Legacy Loading dedicated to Peter Molyneux's comeback.
The legend.
But I digress. Let's talk about something a little different. All right, first up, since we shit on Xbox, let's shit on Sony.
Let's go. Equal opportunity, baby.
God of War Son of Sparta is the worst rated game in the series. Sitting at, I believe, a 69 on Metacritic, from what I recall. Obviously, we had the State of Play last week. for PlayStation, and this was the ender of the show. Was a shadow drop of this Metroidvania God of War game, and they were charging what $39.99 for the deluxe edition, $29.99 for the base game. And so far, after the initial Sony Defense Force came out and said, "Oh my God, this is the greatest game ever," reality hit, and unfortunately, it sounds like this game has been met with not overall good review at all. Kareem, what did you guys think when you watched this showcase live? I did not catch it though.
I wasn't there live, but I did see this, and my first thought was, this is going to be absolutely mid. I was like, okay, I don't think this is going to be terrible, but I just don't think it's what people want from a 2D God of War game. And it doesn't look like it was like terrible. Like it's mid. Which is okay. I mean, at least they're only charging AA price for mid. Dude, if it was AAA, I think people would be really, really pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, I don't know. I see people really angry at this game, but I think the correct feeling about this game is, oh, it exists, okay, and then just move on. I just don't see the game being bad enough to hate. It's not good enough to like. It's just kind of in that middle area of, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know, man. I got other things to do. That's why I think most people are at with this game.
You
which
know
is
what
not good.
You know what this game screams? Filler episode.
Yeah. Where it's I don't regret watching it, but it's like I would have rather watch anything else.
Yeah, and I bought it. I played about an hour of it. It's not terrible, you know. It feels just like every other, side scroller that I've bought and played for the last few years. But I haven't gotten too far into it to give a very big opinion. But
it just is.
It just is. Like they put a lot of effort into trying to hype people up for it. They're like, oh yeah, we got the original voice of Kratos back. Oh yeah, it's canon. It's canon, bro. Like they really hyped up on saying it's canon.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, it's canon. It's canon. It's all canon. And it's just like, I don't know. Should this have been a shadow drop? I think it should have came out probably before the state of play, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but then they want to get as many eyes on it as possible. I think it's a fine shadow drop. We don't usually get shadow drops at a state of play, so that was kind of something different. And they were trying to really push God of War at that one. So
yeah.
I look, it exists. It's not terrible. It's not the worst thing I've seen. But I just don't. I don't know. I feel like they made it, and that's about that. Like, I know this is great analysis, guys, but sometimes there are just games where it's just like, I don't know, bro. It's mid. Like, there's not much to gleam away. It's so middle of the pack, milk toast, that it's confusing. I'm really impressed the fact that it didn't go either way. It's impressive that it's like as like 5 out of 10 mid as possible, because it's really hard to get to that point. I would figure you would at least fuck something up or do really well in something else, but instead it just feels like middle.
There's nothing wrong with just having a mid game every now and then. Not every game is going to be a banger, and I don't think this game was meant to be like the next AAA, over the top budget. I mean, the budget for this game was probably very low. It was made by a studio that I've never heard of. So
Sony putting out a AA game? That's impressive. They don't usually do that. Yeah, they put out like Helldivers, but they don't usually put out a AA game. So that in and of itself is impressive.
Yeah, and Ando here says, does bring into question how good doing shadow drops is for companies. even fails for good games. I don't know if the shadow drop necessarily hurt this game, to be honest with you.
No, I think it actually helped it a bit.
Because it's one of those games where it's like, I think maybe for Hi-Fi Rush you could make that argument that shadow dropping it was not good.
Mm-hmm.
But for a game like this, it was never going to have a huge audience. I think you put it at like you said, on the state of play. This was probably the most eyes it was going to have on it. And you probably scraped up maybe like an extra couple thousand sales just off of that alone.
And again, we have to look at where you're shadow dropping and how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
A game like the Finals did a really good shadow drop. They did it right at the end of the Game Awards with a ton of eyes on them, and people went and played the game. So you could do that. And that's good. I think the state of play, if you're going to shadow drop something, that's a great place to put it. It's just the game, it just is. It's like water. It's like a stale pond without any bacteria in it that's gonna, give you a brain flesh eating virus. It's just kind of is. It exists, and that's okay. I'd rather games be mid than bad because at least you can find some slight enjoyment out of something that's mid.
Exactly.
So, good on them. Hopefully they make their budget back, and hopefully they don't mess up the remasters of God of War, because I think that's what everyone's really worried about.
Yeah, and we will talk more about that, I guess, when it gets more solid and confirmed. But this is a good segue, because speaking of studios that should have been able to do that, and they didn't do that either, Sony, as everyone may have heard, has shut down the studio Bluepoint. And Bluepoint Studios was well known for remakes and remasters. And I've said this on Twitter, and I think some people would agree with me on this one. You bought this studio, you've put them on, I guess, a God of War live service game, and you had 5 remaster and remakes announced this year, or this generation so far. And Bluepoint was not on any of them. Not a single one of them. They weren't on the Horizon remaster. They weren't on the Last of Us Part 2 remaster. They weren't on... what's the other one I'm thinking of? Days Gone. They weren't on the God of War trilogy remake. Yeah. And...
even though they did support for God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, and then they just go like, no, we're going to close you. And, we were just shitting on Microsoft, rightfully so, and then we're looking at everything that's going on at Sony, and they've basically done almost the same thing, from Jim Ryan's failed live service push to now Herman Hulst seemed to be demoted and not knowing what the hell he's doing, with him being replaced by Hiroki Totoki. And another thing, too, for everyone that's getting up in arms about, well, he didn't work in the game, or she didn't, the Sarah girl did not work in Asa, or whatever her name is. Forget her name already. But she didn't work in the gaming industry. Herman Hulst has been with the fucking Guerrilla Games for like ever. And he's been part of a lot of disastrous decision-making over at Sony, too.
Yeah.
So it just boggles the mind here. And this is from Herman Hulst himself. So let's read what he had to say. Hello, everyone. I want to share an important update from the studio businesses. As I mentioned in December's Town Hall 2025, had such a strong highlights with PlayStation Studios' Ghost of Yotei launch to critical and commercial success. Death Stranding 2 on the beach featured showcases, our commitment to narrative excellence, and Helldivers 2 and MLB The Show continue to drive ongoing player engagement and revenue. At the same time, we're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. Rising development costs, slow industry growth, changing player behavior, and broad economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainability. To navigate this reality, we need to continue adapting and evolving. We've taken a close look at our business to ensure we're delivering today while still well positioned for the future. As a result, we are closing Bluepoint Games in March, which sucks because they were also a Austin-based studio, which I will get more into that at the end of it. This decision was not made lightly. Bluepoint is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has developed driven exceptional experiences for PlayStation's community. I want to thank everyone at Bluepoint for their creative craftsmanship and commitment to quality. Where possible, we will work to find opportunities for some impacted employees with our global network of studios. While I know this is hard news to hear, I am confident in the direction we're heading. Creativity, innovation, and building unforgettable experiences for players remain at the heart of PlayStation Studios. We have a robust roadmap for 2026. With much to look forward to in the months ahead. Thank you for your hard work and continued support. Herman Host, CEO, blah, blah, blah. PR speak, PR speak, PR speak. I do find this funny because I feel like there's going to be more studios closures coming from Sony in the relatively near future.
Yeah.
First off, I'm fucking shocked that Media Molecule was not closed at the same time as this one, too. Especially because Media Molecule has been gutted again. At this point, I don't even know how many people are still
they're
at Studio.
Oh my god, they're the ones behind Little Big Planet, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and like they basically started delisting Little Big Planet games last year, and Astrobot has kind of become the new Sackboy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that feels like a more natural one to get rid of, especially because if memory serves me right, that because I know for sure Bluepoint worked on Ragnarok as support, but I do think they also worked or were the ones who did the God of War collection for the PS3 of the first two games.
They did that. They also did the Uncharted PS4 port.
Nathan Drake one.
Yeah, they did. I think they did something with Infamous as well. I can't remember. I think Vita port of some of those games. And of course,
we all know that we all remember the classic game Gravity Rush.
Oh yeah, they did the port of Gravity Rush. Yeah,
I do remember they did the remaster of that. Yeah,
yeah. I couldn't remember what Vita port they did. Thank you for saying that. Gravity Rush was it. And then of course they did the critically acclaimed Demon Souls, and they also did the critically acclaimed Shadow of the Colossus ones as well.
Yeah.
You know, it
makes no sense why they aren't on this remaster, even as support, right? They already did remasters of 2 of the fucking 3 games. You might as well put them on for all 3 again, right? Like,
yeah.
It seems like there must have been some other issues to close them, because that feels like a slam dunk, like easy layup type of thing, right?
Yeah. It just seems, I don't know. That is weird to me. A lot of those former devs, I guess, came from Retro Studios as well, from what I was reading. So maybe they go back and try to get their jobs back at Retro Studios. They're still in Austin. Maybe they go to id as well. Or maybe they just get hired on somewhere else in Sony's companies, you know?
Yeah, they could always go to Arcane.
Oh, wait.
Wait, oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Austin is a big tech town. Losing a bunch of studios now, it's not good. It's not a good sign. But again, it's just the way the industry's going. They want to consolidate. They want to shrink. And if you can't deliver like that, they're going to take you out. So it's a sad situation. Obviously, my heart goes out to everyone who lost their jobs, because that's tough. That's really fucking tough for them. So, yeah, especially considering we've had a ton of layoffs already this year.
Oh, we got more of those in the future. We got a few more today to discuss, but you know that will be saved for another time. But we'll finish off our Sony block here, because there was one bit of news that came up relatively recently. Sony formerly bought Evo, and apparently now they're giving up the full rights to Key. Do you know how to say this one?
Quidia.
I have no idea what this is, but Quidia owned RTS fully acquires Evo, putting it under Saudi control. So Sony has officially got out of the Evo market in terms of ownership and promotion and everything, and they have sold it to the Saudis. Cream, Do you have any thoughts about this one?
Oh my gosh, of course the Saudis. I honestly really did think that they were going to chill out for a bit because they were talking about how the public investment fund was running low on money after the EA acquisition. And all their what do people call it? Culture washing, cultural whitewashing their nation. Um, So yeah, I'm a little surprised about this, but it makes sense. They really do they like esports. I do think that the Saudis saying, hey, this is like the future. Esports is going to be. I mean, that's why they were pushing for the Olympics to add it. And then that fell apart. But and they've been doing the esports World Cup. So they have been trying to. I respect the Saudis. Hold on. Wait, let me finish it. I respect the Saudis and the fact that they are putting so much into esports because there isn't a lot of mainstream funding going into it. Other than like, I don't know, fucking Intel sponsors. And it's like, okay, yeah, the gaming parts companies will sponsor, but no big major companies are sponsoring, right? You're not getting like Pepsi ads on esports stuff, and I think that's something that holds it back is the amount of money that's going into esports. If the Saudis are backing it, it means the checks are going to cash. All right, as long as there's dinosaur bones to milk out of the ground, the cash is flowing, right?
Yeah.
If they can get other people involved, other companies involved to help sponsor too, I think it is good for esports. I just wish it was like corporations being like, we'll sponsor this and not like backed by the Saudi government. But I guess beggars can't be choosers, huh?
I don't know. Like this, have you ever seen just the absurd amount of money some of these Saudi like princes and no name people have?
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the real reason that all this stuff is happening is just because there's like this, 25-year-old video game obsessed porn addict Saudi guy who just
Yeah.
has every video game
His
and
name is the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
just just someone out there. I saw this one video. It's just some random Saudi dude, and he's got every comic book ever made, and his prized possession is like a PSA graded 2 original Superman comic,
Yeah.
and he just basically says like, he's like, but it's a 2 grade, and he's like, well, how many of them are out there? Really ask that question.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, fuck, you got a point there. So it doesn't shock me that maybe on a whim they were
And
like,
this isn't the craziest thing. I remember there was a story like a year or two ago about like the UAE wanted to make a gamer island, an esports gamer island, and like with a fucking stadium and a giant like ass Burj Khalifa looking hotel. I was just so I mean the Saudis are at least a little bit more responsible with their fucking plans than let's make a giant island in the ocean with gamers.
well, if you're going to be honest here, the UAE is so tiny, they actually are trenching off parts of the ocean to expand their land. That's
True. Also, the UAE is a little preoccupied by funding guerrilla warfare in Sudan and Yemen, so they've
having fun.
got their hands filled right now. Yeah.
They're a real country. They can do it all.
Look. Did the UAE help fund a genocide? Maybe. Does that have to do with Gamer Island? Probably, because they're too busy, funding Sudanese people being killed in the street as opposed to, spending that money on what they should be doing, which is building Gamer Island so I can go there.
As long as it isn't Juggalo Island, that's where I think we're at, right?
I think that's Somalia. I think they're the ones who want to make Whoop Whoop Juggalo Island.
I don't know. I think I would rather spend time at the gathering of the Juggalos than Somalia. I'm just going to be
Well,
honest.
at least if it's an island, you can quarantine the amount of biological hazards that happen to the surrounding land.
Or are we talking about for the gathering of the Juggalos or Somalia?
Yeah. Well, both. But both. Somali pirates rolling up at the gathering of the Juggalos would be wild. I'm not gonna lie. I would watch that on Twitter.
Oh, you want to see something horrible? We'll look at a woman mosh pit at the gathering of Juggalos.
Oh.
That's all you need to know.
A woman. All you had to say was, "You want to see something horrible? Look at a woman at the gathering of the Juggalos."
I full disclosure, one of my best friends is a Juggalo, and I used to be like part of that life. Not as hardcore as them. I don't hate ICP. I kind of enjoy their music every now and then, but their stories about going to the gathering, and I just go, that sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it sounds like Woodstock with herpes. Like I don't know.
Well, they literally lean into the joke. They will steal this like random camping ground in the middle of fucking nowhere, Iowa, Illinois, that has like a small lake and have the most rundown carnival rides, and they'll like label any lake hepatitis while they're there, and I'm like, yeah, that fits.
Oh,
So yeah, but you know what it reminds, like, remember True Detective? Did you ever see the first season of True Detective?
yes, yeah.
The best season and the only good one.
I didn't mind the one with Mahershala Ali, but go on, continue.
I haven't seen that one yet. I will caveat that the second season turned me off, but it reminded me of that. The deep southern vibe. That's what the gathering of the Juggalos reminded me of. Like when they go rescue the kids from that house. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Where it's almost Deliverance level. Yeah.
AC's confused here.
You know what? Bless him. Don't. I hope he doesn't figure out what we're talking. No one should know about the gathering of the Juggalos.
I'm going to have to ask you this, AC. Do you even know what a Juggalo is? That's a better question. And then if your answer is no, I will tell you later.
Right in the face if he saw one.
I want to hear about that. Let's continue with the shitty news. We got like 2-3 more shitty news stories, and then we could go on to some more interviews. So first off here, speaking of layoffs, this comes by the way of Mobile Syrup. Never heard of it, but this is kind of funny that it's a Canadian thing.
It's just some like tech slop website up here.
Yes. It says up here, Ubisoft Toronto lays off 40 employees. Splinter Cell remake still in development. Yeah, that's just a quick update there. We have more layoffs, as you said here. 40 devs at Ubisoft Toronto, which I didn't even know they had a Toronto studio. Did you?
Yeah, I did. Actually, like when we were looking on Gronking about like Ubisoft and where they should close studios, because we're like, they're gonna have to. Said, oh, well, that's positive at least. Hey, I said that the one they probably should close is
Neo doesn't know what Juggalo is either. Hey, Neo, how you doing? Sorry.
God bless you. God bless you all. See, I watched wrestling, so I know what a Juggalo is. Sadly,
I know what a Juggalo is from
company.
I know what it is from wrestling and from being a fucktard into drugs and concerts. So there you go.
I don't want the power of the Fago to come near me. All right.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
It's like toxic.
Funny story. My friend is, since we're still talking about this, I guess I'll get this one more thing out of the way because it just popped in my head. He actually had the producer of ICP show up at his wedding.
Oh God! What? what?
I'm not kidding about it.
Huh?
Really nice guys, though. I'll say that.
Okay.
Really nice. I had a conversation with them while we were eating tacos at the taco truck at the wedding my friend had, and he was asking for all these recommendations of where to go in Chicago. So they were nice people. I'll say that much. But I digress. We're getting off topic. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. So what I was saying we looked into this with Ubisoft because it was like they're gonna have to close studios. They were in such a bad financial shape, right? And the one I suggested was it would make the most sense to close if you had to, which sucks, Toronto, because you have Ubisoft Montreal. That's a 3 or 6 hour drive. And it's in the same country. So a majority of people would be able to move. You're moving to Montreal, which is a better housing market than Toronto. Toronto's one of the worst housing markets in the world. It does suck. It's really like, again, there's no good situation when you're letting people go. But I did think that this one made more sense, just based off of that. And then you could have kept people on board and absorbed a lot of that stuff into Ubisoft Montreal.
Yeah.
But including the Splinter Cell remake. But yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point. Once that remake's done, whether it's good or bad, I think they're going to close the studio.
Yeah, I could see it. Like I think you said this the best. Ubisoft is kind of going through a huge hollowing out to transition and everything else. Obviously, with China, not the Saudis, but China.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on with them there. But Godspeed to all those employees. Hopefully, they find some new jobs out there, especially in that rough economy known as the Canadian jobs market.
It's hell.
Yes, I don't know enough,
it's
but
like
I've
three
heard
running of the it's like three gathering of the Juggalos all stacked on top of each other. It's horrific.
That's a lot of fat, sweaty women.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Ubisoft, this one's a little bit sad news over here, but Ubisoft Montpellier received a bomb threat via mail on Thursday evening. 800 people evacuated.
Yeah, this is totally fucked. It's probably some fucking idiot online who's like, I don't like their games, therefore I'm gonna do this. Like, you're just a fucking asshole. I hate this shit. I hope that, you know, it's Montpellier, so I'm gonna assume Interpol's gonna fucking find this guy. So have fun in jail, buddy.
Yeah. And I would share the article for this, but it's all in French, and I did not want to bother to translate it. So there you go. That's
I can't read French, so
I can read a little bit of French, but it's more like understanding the context, kind of. You know what I mean? You just pick out the key words, and you could kind of fill in the rest of it.
My French consists of bonjour, au revoir, and tabernacle. That's all I need. Angry Canadian gets it. That's all I need.
Next up over here, we got a fun little article here. Now we're going to start talking about High Guard, our favorite running joke. High Guard.
Oh, okay.
This comes from GameFile, from former Kotaku journalist, now independent Steve Totillo. Sources: Tencent secured funding, struggling shooter, secretly funded, struggling shooter, High Guard. Wildlight Entertainment has said for years it was fully funded, but not shared the details. Would you like to kind of, let me see here, just read this article real quick? I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be back, and then I'd like to hear your things.
Sure thing. I can read this. Chinese gaming giant Tencent was the undisclosed lead financial backer of Wildlight Entertainment, the studio behind 2026's most tumultuous game launch. Sources familiar behind the matter tell GameFile. Neither company has previously discussed the financial relationship, and reps for both did not provide a comment by press time. Wildlight's funding has been one of several mysteries swirling around the studio and its debut free-to-play first-person multiplayer shooter, High Guard. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, obviously this game had a shit ton of money behind it. For Tencent, I actually think it kind of did make sense to fund it. The game just wasn't good. If you're looking at a studio to put a lot of money into, and you get a studio of people who used to work at Respawn and worked on Apex, worked on the Star Wars games, and all of those games were kind of like, whether you like them or not, but they made money, right? It's not the worst choice to fund. It's just this game missed the mark so badly. like just so badly that like they lost a good bit of money on this game. Yeah, and again, they've had to lay people off now, so who knows what's going to happen. I think at some point Tencent's going to pull that money because I mean, you can't keep funding a game that's dead. And it is a dead game. It's not I can even search up how many people are playing it on Steam right now. I know
Yeah.
that's not like the best measurement because that's only one, but
Mm-hmm.
I think usually I would assume it's pretty similar numbers on consoles. I mean, we have 1,000 people in game right now. That's it.
That's
And
not
that's
good.
from 100,000. I mean that number Monday when it launched, 97,000 people was its peak. The next day was 39,000. The day after that was 19. This is a hollowing out of that audience. That audience didn't even have time to really exist. And we're getting to the point now where if it breaks 1,500 players a day on Steam, that's a good day for it. The game's not going to be able to survive. But again, it wasn't the like the worst investment. It just did not pay off with this case. Like in this case,
It's sad to see what's going on because we'll talk more because we got the follow up here as well that I'm gonna read about the dev that you also talked about prior, but I'd like to get you back on here again. But everything that we're seeing from the studio is that they really thought this game was going to be a hit. They are putting their heart and soul into constant updates for it. They have a whole roadmap. Obviously now the Tencent funding, obviously no one likes the Chinese, the Saudis, or anyone investing any money into gaming. And obviously there's going to be the conspiracy theories about all that there was for a little bit online with this. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's tough to get a hit. And it just keeps kind of going on with that, very real thing where I think the term that people like to use is love bomb. I think these devs kind of got a little love bombed into, believing what they were putting out there was going to be great, and they overbelieved in it. And to be fair, I will say this: I want my devs to think that they're making something good,
Yeah, and I think we brought this up on Gronking. I think a couple people who deserve a little bit of blame for this are a lot of the creators they flew out. And this is something that happens all the time. They fly the creators out, which, by the way, flying someone out to an event does count as a sponsorship under FCC rules. But none of these people ever disclose it, which is also breaking, FCC law, which is, pretty sizable fine you have to pay for each instance of that. So a lot of those people go and they just automatically say, oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Because they don't, one, most of the time they don't know what they're talking about. And two, they will say whatever the hell they want because they want to get back to the next time.
Yeah.
A studio break. They don't want to be the one who says, oh, the game sucks. It screws over their access. But that access, the problem is the devs do need to hear that. Sometimes tough love is what you need to hear, and this game was one that needed that. You can get kind of caught up in a vacuum when you're making something and think it's amazing, and then you get out of it and you're just like, oh God, what the hell did I do? Yeah. And I get that there's some people who will still stand by it. There's some people who just can't accept that they failed. That's fine. I think the response to this has been pretty bad, though, from gamers. Like, you can understand that, like, I don't know. I think using our brains to realize, oh, yeah, this guy got laid off, right? The original commenter, he was a guy who got laid off and then said stuff. Of course, that's going to affect his judgment. Of course, he's going to be upset. And of course, he's going to be a little bit more abrasive with how he's saying things.
Yeah.
I think if we use our brains for a second and realize this is somebody going through some pretty heavy shit, and we give them a little bit of like, okay, we'll give you a little bit of breathing room here. Doesn't mean we have to accept what they're saying is right, but maybe let's use our brains here for a second and understand why they're saying it in a certain way. But again, to get back to the point, the game's not good. The game was not good. It's a game that doesn't know what game it wants to be. It wants to be Apex, it wants to be Rainbow, it wants to be this, it wants to be that. And guess what? It's not any of them. It's just it doesn't do anything well.
Yeah. Now, I want to say this was also, I think they kind of rushed out this comment too, because this was also after the official gaming website went offline as well. And did you guys talk about this fully? I can't remember. Was this known when you did the show?
No, the website was still, I think, up when we talked about it. It went down earlier this week, though.
Yeah, like the 18th. It was like basically the next day after the first initial dev comment. I don't know if this is the same dev or a different one. So this comes by the way of Vice. HighGuard dev breaks silence after website shutdown, promises more updates. A HighGuard developer revealed that a patch is still being worked on despite massive layoffs and the official site going offline. So as it says right here, a HighGuard developer has responded to fears that the game is being shut down following the game's official site going offline. According to Wildlight Entertainment employee, a new patch is still on the way despite everything. So let's get down in here. Earlier this week, players were sent into a frenzy after the official website for HighGuard went offline without any warning from the studio. For many, it was a sign that the divisive game was dead and wouldn't be getting further updates. However, a developer still working on the Wildlight Entertainment multiplayer title has just responded to the website situation on Discord. In several posts, they revealed that the game is not only still very much alive, but that a new patch is being worked on. So it says over here, quote, it's late, probably won't be on too long right now. Once we lock in the patch date, I'll see if we could get a patch preview up for you guys a bit beforehand. The developer also gave an update on the official website being taken offline after a fan asked when it would be fixed. According to the dev, fixing the site was not a high priority right now. Not sure on the time frame, but basically it needs to be transferred and simplified. Low priority at the moment. Reputational damage already done. Now we just need to focus on delivering updates and content to improving. What the hell is this word say? Interestingly, it appears that Wildlight Entertainment employees believe that the official website going offline has caused reputational damage. So on top of that too, there was another former dev, right, that we were talking about with the art guy, right?
So this is another one.
Yeah. So this is a different one right here, and here are the links to the official words from that dev as well. Link to these articles will be in the description. Now, there's that whole big thing that's going on with these devs were kind of high on their own supply. They got a lot of, positive feedback loop. They're blaming other people. They're saying review bombs and everything. And you guys raised a lot of good points about that too when you were talking about it. About when do devs start taking accountability, and we are seeing this kind of link in with the whole gaming industry overall. What's going on with the gaming industry? Nobody really can tell me what's going on here. We don't know who's funding games. We don't know who's working on these games. We don't know what's going to be a hit, what's going to be a flop, who is to blame for that issue. Obviously, the buck stops with the devs and the publishers themselves. It's easy to say. But at the same time, it's also kind of hard to not go online and just see people kind of constantly freak out and shit and just kind of make talking about video games almost not fun to a certain extent too.
Yeah, I mean, I brought this up on Gronking. There's a lot of people that kept making videos about Concord.
Mm-hmm.
We're months after it died.
Mm-hmm.
So there is I think there's a problem with people who are overly positive where everything is great, everything's awesome. Thank you for the money. Please give me money.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have this the juxtapose, the exact opposite, the yang to the yin of that, which is everything sucks. Oh God, we're all screwed. Everything sucks. Give me your money, please. I'm the only one telling you the truth. You suck.
Yeah, and I agree with you on this one, and we're seeing it. I kind of said this in a tweet earlier this week as well. We're seeing this with everything, and not just Concord, but in 2024, they're talking about fucking, Dustborn. They wouldn't shut up the fuck about Dustborn. The game was DOA and not a factor at all. It was just another one of these.
At one point in time, the only people playing Dustborn were people streaming it saying, look at how bad this game is. And
it was like 10 people. It was the same 10 people who just have no originality and just repeat the same, I don't want to say grift, but they just derive it off of each other,
No, I think it's fair to say a grift at that point.
I guess fair enough. But these people, a lot of the people who were kind of replicating it don't matter also after a certain point in time.
Yeah.
That's true. That's why I would say it's like a grift. Like the bigger accounts, yes, and then it's like the derivatives and the wannabes that just don't know how to be original.
I also think that there's there's a lot of derivatives and wannabes.
We are one of them. I will say that. I will acknowledge that. This is
yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's no. I have self-awareness to know that what I'm doing is not original. Let's just be honest.
That's true. I mean, it's not like what I'm saying is great oracle sage like advice where it's like the forefathers have talked to me. Yeah. Like my eyes roll into the fucking back of my head like I'm the Undertaker for 40 minutes, and then I pop out some milk toast take like, please don't call in bomb threats to game devs you don't like. But
quick question, Cream. I want to derail this real quick. Yeah, sure. I had a buddy who watched wrestling, and I know you're a big wrestling fan. I want to know what you think about this theory while we have you here. Who said that the WWE should have had Undertaker soul transfer himself to Brock Lesnar? What do you think about that?
No, but I think it would have been better if he soul transferred himself to someone who really sucks, like Akira Tozawa, who's a very small Japanese man. Right. If you made a very, very like a 5'3" Japanese man, the Undertaker, and he comes out talking like the Undertaker, but in a Japanese accent, would have been way better. I just feel like Brock, I don't know, that's like too on the Vince McMahon would never go for that. But if you told Vince McMahon, hey, let's make this small Japanese man the new Undertaker, he'd be like, yeah, that's some good shit. Make him come out of a coffin, yeah. He'd probably do something like that. Back on point, though.
Sorry, but I want to derail one more time.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Japanese man now. Did you know that there was a Japanese player on NBA Live 06's cover?
Yes, there was. It was a Japanese exclusive cover of it.
I want to get
a guy who played 15 minutes in the NBA his entire career.
I forget his name off the top of my head. I think his name was Yuta Tsubasa or something like that. I don't know. I think his name was Yuta, though. But I just thought it was so funny.
I think. I don't know.
AC, if you're still there. Oh, we got a raid from Mr. Paul Hadouken over there. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by.
What's up, Paul? I haven't talked to Paul in a while. I got to send him a message.
Yeah. But I thought that was funny. That's one of the souvenirs I need to get from Japan now is that guy.
Hey, I'm very happy to have the Canadian exclusive NBA 2K18 cover of DeMar DeRozan.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they made one up here where it's DeMar instead of Kyrie Irving. I mean, back to the whole thing with Highguard though.
Yes,
I think there's
get back on track.
The one thing that really bugs me about this, and you know this, are the people basically gloating that someone's lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I really hate that, and I think it says a lot about someone if they do that. If you're happy that just random devs lose a job because the game sucks without having any knowledge as to what their input on that game sucking was. I brought it up on Gronking. I mean, do you do you get mad at the person working at McDonald's because all Big Macs suck? Because it's just like, oh, the this is wrong with it, and this and this and that, and the person is just like, I don't know, man. They pay me money. I put the ingredients together. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can get mad really at that guy. I think at that point you're just being kind of an asshole. Now, if the guy fucking spits in your burger or it comes out cold, then you have a legit complaint with that person. But even then, I still don't think it's just cruel. Like, you're just a cruel person if you're gloating over someone losing your jobs. And quite frankly, you're probably like a nitwit. You're just dumb. Like, you're just a low information, like, seal almost, like, game sucks, dev fired, that's good. And it's like, no, it's a more nuanced and more complex situation than that. Anyways, there's my little rant over.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's that Hannibal Buress meme of Eric Andre.
Yeah.
Where it's who killed Hannibal?
Yeah, who killed Hannibal? It's the guy who shot him.
Yeah, for me, and I want to go with this a little bit, just from my interactions of listening to people talk and interactions online and that. My biggest problem I have is listening to everyone just basically, like you said, they gloat. They say these people should be fired. They basically call these people all sorts of names. Let's go back to 2024 again. They call them groomers. They call them pedophiles. They call them racist. They call them istophobes and everything else. Yep. And vice versa. The devs aren't all, free from it. Let's just be honest here. Let's call balls and strikes. Yep. There is a lot of back and forth between games media and of both persuasions, YouTubers, mainstream, who work in the industry. Obviously, we've seen adversarial advertising, as I like to say too, where you got the people out there saying like, we're anti-woke, bros, come buy our game, stuff like that. We've seen it played. The field is being played. All right, let's just put it out there. But I do feel like you're saying that these people who constantly call for changes in the game industry, people need to be fired. They go out there and they put what I like to say bad karma onto these people. Like, they hope they get fired, they lose their jobs, they hope games fail and everything else like that. And then they do kind of like you said, there's the inverse too. There's the people who gloat about it, and then there's the people who are crying the loudest at the casket after, they basically played a part into making sure that these people lose their jobs a little bit. Like, they actively worked against this whole situation, and now they're at the, they're crying loudest at the funeral. And I also think that is just as creepy and, scummy as well. If I try to say this, I don't like The Last of Us 2. Shocker. We're going to talk about The Last of Us Part 2 again. But it's my opinion that I just don't like that story. But I cannot take away the fact that it won a bunch of awards. A bunch of my friends love that game. And overall, it's a relatively well-made video game. Like, from a gameplay perspective, a visual perspective, everything else about that is good. I just hate the story, and I find it very dragging to get through. I'm not wishing everyone at Naughty Dog to fucking burn in hell because I hate the game.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that want all those devs at Naughty Dog to the point where they're being disingenuous about the actual game itself, where they say it's not a good game at all because it's terrible graphics, it's a horrible gameplay and everything. And after a certain point in time, it's like, I don't know if that's you being honest or if that's just you looking to fill an algorithm and placate a bunch of people who are sad and disenfranchised,
Yeah, I think it's a little half and half. Some are being grifters, some are just dumb enough to believe that shit. I don't deal in black and white. I deal with shades of gray because that's what it is. There's a nuance. I mean, you can have a nuanced opinion about anything. You can have a nuanced opinion about this that's different from mine, and I can accept that. Not agree with it, but accept it. But I don't accept the whole just gloating over people getting fired. I find it really disgusting, and it says a lot about a person when they do that, when they're smiling and laughing and overall gleeful at a bunch of people losing their jobs, not really caring what knowing what the ramifications, by the way, are for those people, but just not caring.
And we've seen a bunch of successful comeback stories. We've seen Cyberpunk come back and have a renaissance. We've seen Fallout 76. We've seen No Man's Sky. And I hope High Guard comes back. I don't want to see it fail. A lot of devs have already lost their jobs. And you can tell that, for by hook or by crook, a lot of these devs really believed in what they were making. They did.
Yeah.
They were caught off guard with how bad the reception was for this game. And yes, you could say that the one ex-dev is coping. And to be honest with you, if I lost my job and I truly believed in what happened, I would be fucking shell-shocked too. And I would be trying to looking for answers. I think everyone's went through something like that at least once or twice in their life. But hopefully it makes a comeback. But if this game does close down, and I said it, I left a message on that Gronking video too. This was kind of unlike Expedition 33. I'll say this game was pitched off of these devs knowing what they were doing. They were very vocal and front forward with their credentials at working on Call of Duty games. So it is another one of those, I guess you could say, experience doesn't always mean that you're going to know what you're doing.
Yeah, experience can only go so far.
Yeah.
I would say that's fair. Yeah.
But speaking of devs also trying to take accountability, we have one funny thing right now. This comes from Suda51's studio, Grasshoppers. They released a game recently called Romeo is Dead Man, and it has been met with middling reviews. If you're a Suda51 fan, you will already understand that these games are not for everyone. And he says over here, remember kids, true masterpieces are always subject to harsh criticism by the public. Try Romeo's Dead Man for yourself and see if it is deserved. So right here, a true genius accepts criticism. It can only help is what the official statement is here. And he posts all the negative reviews that he has gotten for this game. I think this is a good way for devs to kind of look at this as well. Try to if you still believe in your work and you still want to go out there and try to get people interested in it, muster up the forces, try to play humble, try to bring it out here, try to stay like, yes, I still believe in my game. Yes, I accept that we haven't been exactly the best received game in our series, but overall, we still believe in it. A lot of people still like this game. And like I said, it's a Suda51 game. So as a Suda51 fan, I always kind of just accept that these games are either you're going to love them or hate them. But I just wanted to share this as kind of an inverse of how another studio who's facing controversy is kind of handling this. Kareem, what are your thoughts on it?
The only problem I have with this is like a true masterpiece comment, and then the whole a genius only accepts criticism. Like that part I find very cringy with this, where it's like they just don't understand how 5D brain maxing coded I am and how cool I am. I don't like that part. The best thing would have been say, hey, remember kids, a lot of good games get a lot of bad flack from a lot of people. Try the game yourself. I wouldn't have had that little genius thing on the poster below. And I thought I would think that would be a really good way of saying like, hey, why don't you try it for yourself? As opposed to saying, oh, I'm just too smart, bro. Like I'm just built different, dude. My brain is just on another level. I'm functioning with micro machines in my balls trying to tell my brain waves how to move. Like, it's like, okay, bro, like just chill out. Your game is apparently mid. Just tell people to try the game for themselves and see if they like it. And yeah. That's a better way of handling it.
We just have a couple of news stories to wrap up with, and then we're going to get to the video segment of the show. Right now, new details from a game that I thought was going to suck ass, but has kind of caught me off guard to being a guy who wants to check this out. Star Wars Galaxy Racer, new details. Track-based, not open world. Multiplayer plus single-player campaign modes. Galactic Racing League. Premium release at launch, no season pass model. Focuses on learning and mastery of circuits, replayability. Boost system, 2 phases, where second phase is a ramjet that goes very fast. Ramjet generates a lot of heat and you can explode if you run it too long. Environments have tactical options that can aid you or hurt you on Lantana, volcanic island planet. There are rivers of water and lava. The heat can warm up your ramjet by operating ramjet to operating temp, but much quicker, while rivers can cool it down. You can walk around the paddock and interact with Star Wars characters in between races, build rivalries, upgrade your skimmers. Cream, what did you think about this game? I know it was announced at the Game Awards. It was kind of a nice little teaser trailer. Last week, they showed off a lot of this game at the PlayStation State of Play. And on top of that, too, it's made, we looked it up, AC and Me, it's made by former Burnout and Need for Speed devs.
How do I say this without sounding like I hate the game? Because I don't. It's just not for me. I would say that. I don't think it's going to be like terrible. I was concerned at first, and then I really thought about it. I'm just like, I think it's just not a game that I'm into. It's just not for me. I already have like episode 1 Pod Racer, right? And I'm pretty satisfied with that. With a Star Wars game, I'm kind of more interested in you know, not just being in racing. Like, that's cool. I want it to be more of a Star Wars story centric thing, something like KOTOR. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think it's bad that they have this. I really hope to God it's not AAA price, but yeah, I mean, it's just not for me. Yeah, but I hope it's good. Like, I don't want this game to fail. And it is interesting. It's just, yeah, I just can't get into it.
I was more in your camp when I first saw it. After seeing how it looked like Burnout a little bit, I got more into it, and then finding out that it was a bunch of Burnout devs and Need for Speed devs. I'm putting this up to. I'm feeling frisky about it. I'm interested, but I'm not really fully on to go check it out. Like you said, if it's a $70 game, I'll wait for a sale and probably pick it up later, maybe after a few updates and everything too. Because you have my attention, but you don't have my commitment yet. Basically, that's where I'm at with it. But if for anyone who's interested in that game, I know there's a few people who might still be interested. It definitely does look interesting, and I would say definitely check it out. Articles of everything that we shared today, once again, will be shared in the description of this video when it goes to a VOD. So now we'll close up with our last big update, and it was announced today. Nintendo has officially announced Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red versions for February 27th release on Nintendo Switch, and published a new FAQ confirming that online play is not supported. No physical releases planned, why Pokemon Blue and Red are not being re-released like this, and more. So link to that article is in the description of this video. But just to put this into clarification, February 27th is going to be the 30th anniversary of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, and the 30th anniversary of Pokemon overall. So there will be a Pokemon Direct that is scheduled for February 27th, and they have confirmed that it will be a half an hour. AC and me will be breaking that down next week in our episode. But for everyone out there, if you haven't heard, go check this out. Both Fire Red and Leaf Green will be available on the Nintendo Switch consoles for $20 USD. and it caused a lot of people to melt down online for whatever reason that I don't necessarily agree with everyone's take. I literally had someone today go with me like piracy is not a crime, and I go, I don't think you understand what pirates did if to get this word, but
And also, I don't think you understand that it literally is a crime.
yes. And to be honest with you, look, I've said this before, and I'll re-clarify my statement on piracy. If the developers or the company does not give you a legitimate way to access
Yeah.
said item for sale, then I think it is a victimless crime. It's a gray area. I understand. They own the IP rights. It is what it is. But I don't think the response to be right away when you see someone go, hey, we're going to charge you $20 for this item that you said that you want back, especially when you complain about physical game prices being, at average $100 for these games physically, is to quickly go online and say, well, I could just steal it. And what's wrong with that? And I think that just is like not computing in the logic track there in my mind. Just my
Yeah, and
opinion.
also, like, why would you put out online that you're going to actively break the law? Like, Nintendo, look, they aren't the best company, but they're not fucking stupid. Like, if you put out, I'm going to steal this Nintendo game, yeah, they're going to come after you, man. They go after everyone. At some point, they're going to go after you. And again, I don't have a personal problem when it's a game you can't get anymore, realistically, right? Like, if the game's price is inflated and they're not producing new copies of it, it's not being sold in mass stores. It's more like mom and pop game shops, like retro shops, that type of stuff. And also the equipment you would have to get is so high. I'm okay with that. Like, I really am. It's fine, I would say. It's still technically it's still technically illegal, but I look at it more like jaywalking, where it's like, yeah, just don't be dumb.
Yeah.
Like, be smart. And again, if you have the chance to pick up a game like that for cheap, I would do it. Like, just that's how I look at it. But again, we're getting to the point where I think there's a difference between emulation and piracy.
Right.
And piracy is, this is a brand new game, I don't want to pay for it. And I think I'm sorry, that's just stealing. Like,
if you can
look, it's not the worst crime, but it's still a crime. Like,
with all the issues we just talked about in gaming so far, with sales not meeting expectations, whatever fucking political bent you have for it, mismanagement, devs, online studios, games media, whatever fucking problem you have, okay, just whatever problem you have, at the end of the day, like you were saying, the people who like say all the devs should be fired and everything else, and then crying when devs get laid off. If you are going out there crying about devs getting laid off, and then your next thing is like, I'm just going to steal their game. Like I said, it's the who killed Hannibal meme all over again.
Yeah.
Like that. This is just to me. Look, it's only $20. I understand some people want cheaper. That's fine. A lot like people in hell want ice water. I can't help them either.
Yeah.
I just look at it as like, after a certain point in time for me, and I think it's because I'm going to be 35 this year. I'm married. I have a house.
Over the hill.
I'm way past my prime. I look at things now as like, if it's a luxury item, I don't have to buy it, and I can look at the price and go, oh, I don't need it. It's not like when I have to go to a grocery store and food prices are insane. If I go to the gas pump and gas prices are insane. If I get my heating bill and my heating bill is expensive because we live in a fucking cold climate and fuel prices affect that. Like, those stuff bother me. Those stuff can be easily changed. Luxury items, like, I want to say this. When we had all that crazy inflation here in the United States, and I would see the administration come out and tell me, well, toys and TVs are cheaper. And I'm like, I can't fucking eat a TV, okay? I'm just going to be honest here. I'm like, that's cool and all, but I don't fucking care about the price of a TV. I buy a TV once every 5 years. maybe 7 years. All right. And I'm not going to, this is humble brag. Everyone sees my pickup videos. I spend money that I shouldn't probably spend on video games. But I do find it hard to look at somebody and go like, oh my God, Nintendo's charging you $20 for a game that could probably bring you, infinite amount of entertainment. How is this the worst thing in your life and your day right now that's going to ruin your day this badly? I just don't get it. And I'm not trying to put you down and say like Nintendo is great and you should just slop it all up, be like the fucking pig you are and get in that slop there, fucking Suey. It's hard to take your argument seriously when it just basically comes down to like $20. I'm just gonna brag about stealing stuff.
Well, and especially considering there's more egregious things you could get upset at Nintendo for.
Oh,
remember the Welcome Tour game? That's one that it's like, okay, if you were talking about stealing that, I actually could. I'm not saying you should do it, of course, but I can understand the logic behind that as almost like a protest fuck you to the company for charging money for a tutorial. But this is not that. This is something that people wanted for years. It's $20. That's not bad. It's not terrible. Like, could it be better? Yeah. It could always be better, but
it could always be better. Yes.
Yeah, especially because I don't know how much work they really had to do on these games. I would assume it's very minimal. But again, when you're making a product, you get to set the price. It sucks, and we can argue about whether the price should be higher or lower, but just because the price is bad doesn't mean you steal the game.
Yeah, it like I said, it's
not like emulation where it's like, oh, I can't find an OG copy of God of War for more than $50, and that game's been out of circulation for like what, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little different. Like that's acceptable where it's like you're emulating the game because it's the only way to play it. It's not like the company's going to make money off of that game anyways.
Yes, they've taken it off the market.
Yeah, exactly. I know God of War making money. The best situation because now they're remastering it, but that only just got announced. How many people emulate that game because they can't play it any other way?
Yeah,
gaming is a product, but it's also an art form, and if your art can't be viewed, then it might as well not exist.
I think I've said this before, but Pokemon, I think. Diamond and Pearl and all that stuff has been pirated so much. Nintendo has lost, billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if I'm Nintendo, and I've said this before, it is very well justified to say, look, if our profit margins are, we spend, $16 billion and we only make $2 billion in profit after we take in all the revenue, and you're going to tell some bean pusher that piracy has cost us maybe another, $2 to $3 billion in revenue. That here right now, if I told you that, if you got your paycheck, and then somebody said, hey, because somebody else stole a lot of credit for your work and they took away another $2,000 or $3,000 from your paycheck, do you think you'd be a little concerned or pissed off? The correct answer is you'd be fucking livid. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if you were like the biggest asshole in the world, we all understand that don't fuck with the money is the number one principle. And we got a few people who chime in on this. Ando says this whole moral angle they pull is upsetting. Like you're cattle who eats slop if you get it officially, but you're smart if you steal it. And then AC joins us here. Says the people are out crying about it are the same people pirating Switch games. That is true. A lot of them do brag about that as well.
Yeah, and again, my rule of thumb is 2 console generations back. You have last gen. And then what's past last gen, for the most part, I would say is free reign. But again, there's some situations where you don't do that. For example, I could get Red Dead on the Xbox. I have an Xbox, so I just picked up Red Dead Redemption on the Xbox store.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't have an Xbox and you don't have a past gen console, if you emulate it, that's understandable. But I always try to go out of my way to at least purchase it legitimately, because I do want the people who make games to actually benefit from me spending money. Now, if it's just something where it's like I can pick up a copy of this at a retro game store that's not gonna put any money, like send any money to Nintendo on this for like $100, or I can just download it for free offline, like off the internet, I'll do that, because either way, Nintendo's not getting my money.
Right.
You know.
No, I feel you. It's like I said. I have to understand the logic. You know what I mean? And I kind of go with the person who makes like the best argument and makes it logical and easy to follow. And I can't argue against their logic, even if I disagree with it. But a lot of these people's logic is just already the train derailed before we left the station.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I can understand why people would have a problem with what I said there. Like, I get that. Yeah. And there's a discussion that can be had. But, again, you can't just go and be like, yeah, we're just going to steal everything because I don't like the price. And it's like, no, that's a crime, bro. I don't know what to tell you. It's not like murder, but it's still a crime.
You're just encouraging these companies to go after you. That's really at the end of the day. You're just encouraging the whole emulation market to just be upended because you couldn't fucking shut the fuck up, basically. You know? Yeah. It's the old mob movie. Don't buy fur coats. You know, if you're in the mob. Okay? Don't be flashy. Don't stand out. But some of these people, you know, they're the ones that get pinched, and then they have the problem, as they would say, you know?
Yeah.
Oh. But that's all I got. Tune in next week. AC and me will be covering the Pokemon Direct. Obviously, I'm a big Pokemon guy, so of course we're going to cover it. All right. Next up, we got a interview over here from the Game Biz show with Matthew Ball and Christopher Drigg. And we highlighted the first one on here too, as well, when it's focused on but there sorry about that. Trying to get to the right thing here. So game funding is going to be the topic that we're going to talk about here, and this is going to be, looks like, about 10-minute long little conversation point. Link to the fucking full thing is in the description of this video if you want to watch this afterwards. But I figured
I do suggest, if you are interested on the business end of gaming, this is a good place to start looking at stuff. Yeah. And they do get some really interesting contributors and interviewers. It's a good show, and again, they put something up once a week, and it's
sometimes more.
Definitely worth checking out. Yeah,
he put up I think 2 interviews this week. One of them we were going to cover was about our king, Mr. Peter Molyneux.
You know what? I think it's better we don't cover that, just to make them feel sad.
We're doing it. We're going to sit down and do it soon.
You know, if I ever have the chance to meet Peter Molyneux, I have to sell out, chat, right? I have to fully sell it and be like, Populous is so amazing, dude. I'm so much of a fan.
I loved your work at EA. It hasn't been the
same.
I
just do a heel turn and become an absolute dick sucker for Peter Molyneux.
I think it would be hard to be mean to Peter Molyneux. I think
he seems like a nice guy. I just really like bullying him.
He's a giant piece of shit, as we learned. You know, he would sell his sister. We've literally learned that he would sell his sister.
Well, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't sell their family members?
Exactly. But this one I thought was an interesting one to cover here too. Is about game funding. So I feel like this is a good one. Like I said, this is an hour-long interview and it's part 1, so there will be probably a part 2 next week. But let's listen to something here that I think a lot of people don't really think about too much.
I'll sort of go through a few of them, because I think you talked about, one of the things you talked about was the drop in funding for new games and studios, and sort of major companies, major publishers whittling down their portfolios and cutting games from their lineup, both of which obviously have been happening before 2025 and then continued into 2025. And I've talked about this before. And the argument I keep getting thrown at me about this is that,
I gotta say one thing. I hate his gay ass shirt that has music logos and hammers and stuff on it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
not a
feeling
great
it.
shirt. It feels like something like your grandma buys you for Christmas that you have to whip out like once or twice a year at family gatherings just to remind, just to show that you actually would wear the shirt even though you don't want to.
I also think that if you're gonna wear this shirt, don't try to hide it. Just full go on.
Why wear a car? I know we're doing basically a style breakdown, but to have a shirt like that with a cardigan, bad move. You want solid colors on underneath that cardigan, and the glasses do not match. Just get normal rimmed glasses. Don't go for the colors. That limits you, man. Honestly, the gays taught us well.
Yes, and Matthew Ball over here, he's got the right face right now. He's
got like I'm about to get a DUI and beat my girlfriend up face.
This is the mugshot that you get from the DUI, and I beat my girlfriend.
This looks like a dude in a screamo band who's like had his like bail photo.
Yeah, Chrome brings this up here. Reminds me of an old high school teacher. Yes, it reminds me of that teacher with tenure that's trying to be hip and wacky, but also fucking hates his students in his life.
We've got on one side the art class teacher, on the other side the gym teacher.
Both of whom sell drugs to their students.
Of course, different drugs for different eyes.
Yes, exactly.
This is fine. We've had too many games as it is. A lot of them are doing similar things for similar audiences. Frankly, although bad from a jobs perspective, this is necessary. But I'm interested to know your thoughts on that. I know it's slightly different from what you're talking about in the report, but do you think that it's been necessary, this funding cut? Is it a good thing?
I think it first and foremost helps to recontextualize that funding cut. What you're talking about right now is the decline in private equity and venture capital funding for content. We're not talking about games, tech, and tools and services. We're talking about the money that goes to publishers, to fund studios, or to studios directly. That sum is down, I think, 85% since the highs in 2021. But critically,
that's fucking wild. 85%.
Yeah, it's hemorrhaged. But it's not just gaming. Like, this is the thing. Everyone started overspending through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to rein it back in. And also the fact that just people are looking to spend their money on AI. That's the new hip trend. And when you're traditional quote unquote tech, it doesn't interest them. They're looking for buzzwords to invest in. It was like when the dot-com bubble burst. I don't want to know about the dot-com bubble.
Still going on. It's called OnlyFans.
Well, when the dot-com bubble burst, people were moving away from internet financing and went to other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it eventually came back because there was a value to it. Like something like Google was able to say, hey, we have a real value here as a company. People will go and invest their money where they think it's the safest. And until that thing bursts, they won't come back to their senses. And then they'll eventually go off on another trend again. That happens.
Yeah. Chrome says, I don't know what smoothly filtered guy on the right is using, but his black eyes are creeping me out.
Yeah, he sounds like AI, by the way. He don't sound right.
He looks like a fake guy. I'm not gonna lie here.
Yeah. He's on C-Dance 2 right now, bro.
I know who this is. This is Project Milo right here. This is him fully grown up.
Oh my god, I feel old.
I know. We finally found out what happened with Peter Molyneux.
Is that why they also interviewed Peter Molyneux this week?
Yeah, there you go.
Father and son reunited.
But like you were saying too, it's just when these venture capitalists and everything, they invest into whatever they think is going to be the hot button issue and try to get on that trend. It's kind of like what we saw with, all the media companies like Kotaku, Vice, and everyone. They got all, invested in by Disney and stuff, and now they're worth nothing.
Yeah, because it's just the market changed, and it doesn't make sense to have online publications in that space. There are still definitely places for online publications. IGN's a clear example of them. But you have to adopt what you do. It can't be. It has to be more informational based and not editorial.
Right. Exactly.
No, less op-eds, which is what a lot of these, Kotaku was basically all op-eds.
Let's continue. Shoot.
Below 2019. That's critical because revenues are up 30 to 40%, and so we have less money coming in. And then in parallel, the costs of development per person, because of inflation, have gone up. So even though we're talking about being...
Did you just say per Percy?
I think so, but he meant to say per person.
Does he have an accent? Is this guy a foreigner?
I think he just has a shit mic.
Maybe, or he just stumbled there.
Oh, he's probably using his AirPod mics.
He doesn't sound that bad though for AirPod mics. I don't know. Maybe he just panicked a little bit.
Maybe he's got them AirPod 2s or AirPod Maxes.
Yeah, I can't really talk shit. I fucking can't barely pronounce words every now and then. So I just maybe I don't know. I don't know who this guy is too much, to be honest with you.
Roughly 2019, 2018 levels on an adjusted to revenue basis.
Is he Canadian? I feel Canadian in his accent.
Maybe. I don't know. He could just be from New York.
I don't hear New Yorker though. I hear a little
Upstate
Midwest Canuck. We'll see.
Chris String is in the fucking
personnel.
The fucking he was in the fucking freak zone there with his eyes closed. He was dreaming of Diddy.
Cost. We're probably approaching a decade-long low in venture funding into game studios. As I started this report again last summer, one of the ways in which I started was to take a look at what I expected was going to happen in 2025 and what many expected was going to happen in 2025. And if you go review the consensus was that venture capital funding was going to turn around this year or this last year, and it didn't. And so is that necessary? I think that's a hard question to answer because it has a value judgment associated. When I talk to investors, and I know that Owen talked about this with you a few months ago, the reality is that as an asset class, video games are small. 200 billion is both a lot and relatively trivial. It also has a fundamental mismatch, which is the period of investment, even if that's 3, 4, or 5 years, certainly it gets to 6 or 7.
Yeah.
The challenge with the venture capital community investing in video games is that they are used to increasing their risk appetite or the checks that they write over time as there's evidence of success. You and I start a SaaS technology company. We may not have material revenues relative to the money that we raise, but we might have 100 customers, then 1,000, then 10,000. We see churn, we see pricing, we see utilization.
Yeah.
The challenge with games is UAT and QA, vertical slices, everything that you can do along the way, as we've seen in the last few months with major game releases, can tell you ways to modulate the games, but they aren't evidence of product market fit from an investor who says, I put 10 to work, now should I put 40? And so it's just not clear that this is an effective fit for the category when you parallel that with the fact that the last few years have had essentially no true venture-backed successes defined by venture-level outcomes.
What do you think about that, Cream?
I mean, it is kind of the... I've said this too. It's not as a smart-sounding way, but in a dumb way, I've said this. The way that games are as a business they're not, you can't look at it like McDonald's, right? McDonald's, you sell a product, you receive money right then. And it takes not very long to make that product. Yeah, you have to deal with logistics, like supply chain shit. But once the product is in the store, you make the product, you sell the product, you receive money for said product. What happens with gaming is you have to build the product over the span of years.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, months, but years. And then you have to hope people buy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very different market, and it's harder because you don't know if, like you said, you don't know if something's going to be necessarily a hit or a failure right from the jump. I think I think you can, if you're smart about it and you understand the lay of the land a little bit, you can figure out what's going to resonate more likely than not. But it's no perfect. I mean, we look at High Guard. They thought that was going to be good, and it was not. So there's no secret perfect formula to running it. There's a lot of luck involved, and a lot of like always being on top of things, and like you have to almost be like fucking really like aggressive with how good you want the game to be. You have to like really be on top. You have to be Walton Goggins, dude. Like you need to be fucking running backwards. David Goggins, sorry, not Walton Goggins. Different person. No, but that does affect the game model, because a lot of these private equity firms are, if they're going to invest in something other than AI, they want money now, because they want that money to put into AI. It's the one thing that was interesting, he said, is though that revenue is up, which is a good sign. If revenue's down across the board and there's less funding, you're in big trouble. Revenue's up, that means if people are smart, they can work their way like out of situations where they need just a bunch of funding. But that's studio to studio, because not every studio's up, not every studio's down. So
Yeah,
it's it kind of becomes a case by case basis. But when money's getting pulled out like that, that is a concern.
well, I think also what you're saying too is just why we have so many remakes and remasters and ports and everything else like that happening now. Safe bets. You know, when we look at, we're hearing right now 85% of the capital is being pulled, and he said it's the lowest since 2019. And obviously with all the rising cost of development, the COVID pandemic, adding, I want to say, maybe a couple $100 million to budgets, and a couple years maybe to some of these games as well, because that a lot of studios and around the world and still that stuff had different regulations, different ways that you could work, and so on and so forth. I think they're really trying to get through that with the overhires and everything too, and the course correction is coming, and it came hard, but they're still making money. These companies will look for anything to make money. And right now, what is the best way to make money? Safe bets, known products, known IPs.
Yep. That's why you look at a lot of, like, even with movie studios, there was a lot of remakes because it was a safe bet. It's kind of coming out of that now. There's less remakes. There's still a lot of sequels, but I do think that things have leveled themselves out. But it took a while. And with games, it's going to take maybe even longer to level out, just based off of, again, the way that the economy is centered around tech. It's centered around AI. It's unsustainable. And that will have an effect on gaming.
Yeah.
Because if a bunch of capital venture people lose a crap ton of money on AI, they may not be willing to invest in the games company, or they may be willing to invest into some who have a really good track record.
Right.
Like Saber.
Yeah, Saber Interactive.
Yeah, that would be my go-to. They're a safe bet. They have a really good track record as of late. Their games are making money. I think Toxic Commando is probably gonna do really well. And the quality of it looks pretty good so far. So I mean, that's a company I would be willing to put money into if I was in that position. But
another thing too is just to add to your point, sorry, Kareem, if I may, but Saber is also investing into known IP, even if it's not their own. They're doing the Hellraiser game. They're doing, they did Space Marine 2. They're going to be doing Toxic Commando. They're doing the Jurassic Park game, which that disappeared. I want to know where the fuck that game is.
And Turok and KOTOR.
Yeah. So all of them are IPs they don't directly own, but they're also getting companies to go out there and make safe investments, I guess you could say, by taking known products and trying to make them appealing and good too. So
yeah,
Let's continue here. We're about halfway done with this.
Say for the tranche, basically 2018 to 2020, 2021, it's explicable that venture capital has retreated.
Yeah. My concern is the impact this has on. I know that, there's a lot of games and perhaps we don't need as many AAA projects or live service games. If you read Ilka's Supercell CEO's blog the other day,
Of course, yeah.
he accused the mobile market, and particularly he talked about the Western mobile market. I think he said it was coasting, was his words. And he said, we've not had I've got it here, we have not had radical new gameplay innovation to the market, not in the way Clash Royale, Pokemon Go or Brawl Stars each did in their time. And his point was that, for the mobile industry to grow, you need new players, new innovation, which you get through innovation and genres and new ways to play and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think this is a mobile thing. I think this is I think this goes across all the different segments of the video game industry. You can apply that argument. Interesting, your report really sort of drove this home for me, because you look at what TikTok has done in terms of, whether it's driving innovation or inspiring innovation in sort of the linear screen industries, or, what OnlyFans has done in pornography, or AI in social, which,
I was not expecting to hear OnlyFans be brought up in this conversation.
We need to take guys, porn is beating us down. It's beating us. We need to step up, because porn's beating us down, beating us off even.
Yes.
You could say, yeah.
I do agree with this assessment. I know Matt Booty got roasted when he brought this up, that, our main competitors are also TikTok and everything else like that too. I do agree with this a little bit here.
I agree, kind of. Like, there's parts of it I agree with. Yes, of course, you're always competing with everything that's grabbing attention. When you're something that you want attention from people, you're going to compete with everything, right? Everything's competition, but you do have to kind of hone in on what is it still in your, like, it's nice to say, yeah, we're not really competing with other games companies. We're just competing with the whole world. Oh yeah. And it's like, okay, yes, but I mean, that is somewhat true, but really you're competing with other games. Like, if you're Xbox, you're competing with Sony. You both are in the exact same field. You're both publishers and console makers. That's your competition. Yes, you need to be worried about everything else as well, but your main focus has to be on people in the same industry as you. Because if you can't beat the people in your same industry, you're not going to be able to beat the NFL or fucking ABC News Nightly or whatever, like everything else that grabs attention. I don't know, the fucking local circus. Like, if you want to focus on that stuff, that's cool, and they are technically your competition, but hone in on what your industry is, so that you can really try to be the top of that industry.
Right. I agree with you. I just think that we're in such a new frontier when it comes to how entertainment's being delivered and how much more access we have to it, that you want to be the best in your field, but it does feel like your field has way more competition from people who aren't even in it.
Yeah, that is true. But I also think this was part of the problem with the Xbox as an example, because I think they are the chief, like you said, Matt Booty said this, and they are the chief ones to use this whole line of thinking. And it's not an improper line of thinking per se. It's just, if you focus too much on that, then you lose the plot.
The problem is that you can easily discredit it because it's coming from the de facto third place in a lot of people's minds.
True, but even if it comes from the first place,
I feel like if it came from Sony, more people would have less issue with it. I personally do believe that.
I do think a little bit, because it shows that, like, okay, well, they are kind of they're top of their game in that industry. So there is a little bit of that. But I think it's the problem is, I think sometimes when people say we need to focus on everything, that means we need to change things. We need to make changes that are negative to our business model to compete with others, when the best way to compete is to really just hone in on what you're good at and accentuate that. I think one of the things that, yes, it's interesting, yes, it's forward thinking, yes, it gets eyes on your company, but the whole everything is an Xbox stuff, I think that kind of takes away. I think you do have to put importance on this is an Xbox, right? But you can also play Xbox games on all these things. Not, hey, your Fire Stick is an Xbox control. You know, you can have that as an option. That's cool.
Oh, your microphone's messing up there, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, if you take away your focus from what you're supposed to do as a company, then you can't dominate not only your industry but also the eyes of everyone else. I think it ends up, you spread yourself too thin, and then you can't be successful.
I always find this conversation interesting. And what I mean by that is we have plenty of data that suggests that you're correct. But we also have plenty of data that suggests that they're not wrong in this way of thinking either.
Oh yeah, no,
And that's the big problem. It's everyone's right and everyone's wrong. And when that becomes the thing where everyone's right and wrong at the same time, then it's just like, oh well, what's the best course of action besides obviously luck and just trying to stick with the tried and trues. That's what it feels like. And I feel like the more and more I've been doing the show and talking with you and other people, it's just like there's no golden,
there isn't
bullet. There's no silver bullet.
It's a high wire balancing act that you're gonna end up. I mean, even the best person's gonna plummet 400 feet to their death.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think you can. All you can do is try to do the best job possible and hope and pray that you do it right.
Right.
It's really a bit of a fucking gong show, though, especially right now.
No, yeah, no. Like I said, I've been a big proponent on so many games. Like Dave the Diver, I've personally bought many times for myself and my friends. Hi-Fi Rush, I bought plenty of times for myself and my friends. And talk about two different outcomes for both of those games right now. One of them, right now, it seems like they got out of the bird, out of the fire into the frying pan. That's what feels like what's going on with Tango Gameworks. But on top of that, too, you got a studio like Mint Rocket.
And the other guy dives.
Yeah. But like you got Mint Rocket, who bought their independence and Dave the Diver IP, and who are getting ready to launch their biggest update to a game in forever. There's a lot to look at for this upcoming future of like you don't know what's going to be a hit, what's going to be a success. And I do have to think, just there's been a lot of accusations, and I think you will agree with me. Like you see the fanboy wars on Twitter, and a lot of people just tell you straight up, it's like you don't play video games, you just play Twitter. Yeah. And after a certain point in time, it's like we go with like even some of the people we have in the woke and the anti-woke culture war stuff. It's like none of you play fucking video games.
Yeah, or even look, I think there's a lot you can gather. You can't gather everything off of a game this way, but watching full playthroughs of games, you can gather a good bit. There's some stuff like controls that I don't think you can gather, but there's a lot you can gather off of that. But they don't do that. They just watch clips on Twitter, little clips, and then that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's been one of my big issues I have too. I personally don't like to watch people stream video games. I'm a vocal proponent of this, that sharing clips online is kind of cringe after a certain point in time for me personally, only because I want to play the video game. And to be honest with you, I fucking suck at playing video games a lot of times. All right. I constantly have ADHD. I'm constantly looking around. I'm constantly pickpocketing and pouring everywhere, touching everything. I call that's the terrible way to stream. So a lot of these people online that are posting these clips, I also think they're just not good at playing video games, but they really, 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 really want to show off the pretty artwork and stuff. Like the running joke about Horizon Forbidden West is every clip is not them actually fucking fighting the monster. It's running away from the monster and not engaging in combat, Yeah.
Yeah. It's Oh boy, what a world, huh?
Yeah, and Chrome over here says, I talk to normies at my work. They think way differently than Twitter and don't think of half the crap that's argued. And I agree.
Yeah.
I think what I always try to say to people too is that we're all autistic fucking weirdos who really love the inside baseball, the minutia and everything. But
Yep.
we have to acknowledge Call of Duty is always the number one selling game, and I think for 10 years straight we've been saying Call of Duty has sucked ass, right? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, and both can be true, man.
yeah.
It can suck ass, but there can just be a lot of people who are like, man, I'm fucking tired. I just want to play.
Your microphone's messing
wanna
up a
boot
little
up.
bit again.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
I just want to boot up and play COD.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Well, it's the joke that's been going around online now. It's like you just like balls and guns. That's over here. Let's check out the list. Madden, NBA 2K, Call of Duty, Battlefield, balls and gun, ball and gun, ball and gun.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. Yeah, normies just they like their Maddens, they like their NHLs, they like their NBAs, they like their MLBs because a lot of people like sports games. And
Hey, I like sports games. I get that they're never fucking improving, but I still every once in a while will pick one up and play one just casually.
yeah, and I think you and I could agree with it. We like sports. It's fun to play as your favorite hockey team and go like, I'm the fucking GM. I'm gonna get fucking Crosby. I'm gonna get Ovechkin. I'm
trading Shea Weber day one on NHL fucking 15.
Exactly.
It's not staying there.
Like I'm going to build my ultimate team. It's like I'm going to put the game on unlimited cap room. I'm going to sign them all to $50 million contracts.
I'm going to try to win Super Bowls as the Jets. That's the most difficult one of all.
Exactly.
That's a fucking struggle.
Exactly. And like I said, it's just like we acknowledge this. We all know the deep, dirty secret here is that normies buy what we would generally consider subpar products that don't change. They're just $60 to $70 iteration of the same game with roster updates and maybe some improved physics every now and then.
Yeah.
And I like Chrome says. Chrome always brings up a point I always have to acknowledge and talk about. There are way more normies out there that don't have Twitter, that don't have any Facebook, that don't get involved in this nonsense, that don't care about even for other things. They don't care about politics. They don't care about anything. They just know that, hey, shit is bad at this point, or hey, shit's so good I don't notice it.
Yeah.
Like my buddy Jason, he's one of these people. And I use Jason as my reminder. It's like you're the guy I talk to when I need the opinion of somebody who just I want to talk video games with, and not listen to someone talk about how DEI is ruining the world and stuff, and we're all Hitlers or something. I don't fucking know. All right. Yeah. But yeah, Anda says up here, it was crazy how much bad mouthing Kiwami 3 got with just the same list of parroted points with no mention of new content and the combat. And those that did and said it sucked don't elaborate. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is we like Cream said it. It's like they get their information from Twitter and they have no firsthand knowledge of it. I don't know.
Yep.
Let's try to get through this point. We're almost done.
Not seeing anything like that really happening in games. Roblox maybe, and I do wonder where that thing might come from if we're not getting that investment level. And I appreciate we might have a lot of games, but that's the bit that I'm not worried about necessarily the quantity of games. I'm wondering if the industry needs something like Ilka's talking about that could inspire a bit of an attention economy fight back effectively. I realised I didn't ask a question there. That's just my anxiety around the investment.
No, it's the right thread. So for the audience, it's helpful to talk about the extent to which the industry has transformed here. Private funding for early and mid-stage game studios is one aspect. Mm-hmm. But of course, as part of that, we have seen an unprecedented number of game cancellations, studio closures. We see budgetary reductions. We are now at a point in which a record high of total content investment is going to external development partners. I don't mean that as an indictment, but typically when we think of where are the new creative ideas happening, the assumption and indeed the history tends to be within the studio, not from external partners. And so when we take a look at those 5 different vectors, in totality, the industry now spends less as a share of total net revenue on games than it has in every one of the last 8 years, with the exception of the pandemic. The pandemic's an outlier. Revenue grew way more in 2020 than anyone predicted. Your costs lag because you just can't greenlight projects. And so there's a reason why reinvestment as a share of revenue was at a low in 2020. If we normalize, the industry now invests less in new game development than they have in recorded history. That is, in one sense, a big problem. How are we going to find the new great hits? On the other side, we do see ample evidence of 2 or 3 critical things. Number one is we still see myriad other games coming out. Eugenics just came out. We see categories like Block Blast, which has, I think, 150 million monthly active users, tens of millions of daily active users, 300 or so million quarterly active users. Weird measure, but it's relevant in South Korea. And so the whole point here is whether we're talking about brand new ideas, whether we're talking about Arc Raiders going after some of the industry stalwarts, or we're talking about someone just reinventing a Tetris spin-off, we definitely see new ideas coming into the forefront. And it's not clear that the solve for more innovation would be more venture funding, more studio funding, a higher level of revenue reinvestment. It seems to be coming at the smaller scale, and that's positive. Do we need more of it? Certainly. Is that necessary to restore the industry to overall growth? Definitely. And when we take a look at one of the topics that I think we'll get into in a little while, which is controversial though it may sound and horrible though I think it is, video gaming has been a loser in the attention wars over the last half decade. I think that's definitive. And if we say, how do we remedy that? Then yes, exactly the points that you and Ilk are talking about is necessary.
We need to get good, to use a gaming term. Let's talk about.
All right, that should do it with that clip. But yeah, that was very insightful. I'm looking this guy up because I've never heard of this Matthew Ball guy, but he does a lot of fucking work here with like roadblocks and everything else like that. He's a huge analyst. I've never heard of him. Have you heard of him before this?
I think I've heard his name. I'm trying to remember where though. I'm certain I've seen something from him. I just can't put my my mind on it.
Yeah, but I'm looking through his Twitter feed right now, and it is just full of data analysis and stuff like that. Apparently, he's like a best time seller and stuff like that.
The one thing I do want to say about the end of it, where he says video games are losing like people's attention. True, but I don't know if that necessarily counts into affect the fact that there's a lot of times where people aren't playing games, but they're listening to games. They're looking at stuff that's game adjacent, right? Something like this would be game adjacent. We're talking about games. It does put a focus on games without it being games, right? People streaming. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's brought up and taken into effect. I know it's not the exact same. It's a little different, but in that sense, that does help with attention.
Ironically enough speaking, though, that does kind of play into a video games competition a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Because the video game product is being cannibalized by people who are just streaming on Twitch and YouTube and wherever other platform of choice they want to have.
Yep.
Like to be honest, it is a weird double-edged sword where it could be the greatest promoter and it could also be one of the greatest cannibalizers out there.
Yep. A lot of people want to be angry about a game instead of playing a game.
Yeah, like Neo says here, agreed. I saw a few people in the chat today saying that Crackdown 3 was an abomination, but I guarantee they never played it. It was just more of what made the original fun. And like I said, that's an objective opinion too. But at the same, this goes back to the other thing that we were talking about: toxic positivity and then over negativity. We've been seeing it so much with like Resident Evil is about to come up with a new video game, and you see like the same tourist takes out there from people who I don't believe are fans, making like these insane, wild claims and accusations from leaks, quote unquote. And some people just kind of running with it and everything like that too. And I feel like the problem I have is are the positive people paid shills, or are they people that generally like the game too? That's where we have to kind of like parse those people out, because I tend to lean on the people who actually have done something with the game for their opinion. Like, if you don't like it, can disagree with it if you played it, but a lot of these people don't play it. Or even worse, and I will say this too, I don't like the people that poison the well and then play a game and then they give you like a bad or a good take about it, because it's like, look, I don't care about your opinion because you spent more time trying to destroy this game, so why should I care what you have to say about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a weird catch-22, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I don't think there's a perfect situation. There's always going to be situations like that. It's just, I think it is worse right now than at a lot of different times, especially back before the internet, where you didn't have like the opportunity for just random idiots to go and say this. Like, say, oh, I don't like Resident Evil 2. I think that game sucks. I don't want to play as a woman.
Yeah.
It's not as I miss the mansion. Like, you don't have that going on, right? You didn't have that going on at the time.
Or if you did, it was like
it was so
dude,
like just,
you know.
Yeah, and everyone's like, okay, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's a little different nowadays, but I do think things will get better. I actually do think we're nearing a bit of a
equilibrium,
balance. Yeah, a brief time of balance before things go over too far the other way, where everything's good always.
We'll find out. I feel like the whole point that I wanted to start doing the show and just kind of do it because it's like, look, I think I just provide an opinion that I generally do think not everyone shares all the time or doesn't get out enough. That's the only reason why I like doing the show. I love talking about video games, don't get me wrong. But I also feel like we need to get people just out there and talking. I think the big problem and the worst problem at let me rephrase that. The best thing that's ever happened is everyone has a voice, and the worst thing that's happened is everyone has a voice. And the reason why I say that is just like what we see what's going on with Smash JT's lawsuit and all that other jive, is that there are too many people out there who are really bad at conveying their points and information, and a lot of them will take the easy way out. And there are some people I've rightly criticized and called cowards because they'll abandon their point and not fight for it. And then there's other people who are just really bad at fighting for their point. Like I wholeheartedly love you if you are willing to fight for what you believe. But sometimes you got to understand you're a fucking terrible fighter, and maybe you should just go work in the kitchen and just make the food for the soldiers. Okay.
I think there's also an unwillingness in some people to realize when they're wrong and move forward, because like, look, everyone's wrong about some things.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle that. Do you understand that when somebody offers a point, do you look at it in good faith and then think about it and you're like, okay, no, I actually do see that point. I can see the logic behind that. I think my opinions, I'm going to look into that a little bit more. My opinions change or stuff. I think there's a lot of that missing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And look, like Chrome says, it's sadly going to be a struggle session between two sides as things are coming back to center. I agree with that. It's going to be like with everything. Any battle, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to try to get your point out there. And look, the best thing I could tell anyone out there is just, if you listen to me and you take my recommendations and you go play video games and you like those video games, I'm happy. I hope I made another fan of you for liking the video games I like. I hope I turned you on to news that you like. I hope you look more into what I'm talking about. And another thing too is, we're only taking little bits and clips from these things because I want you to go watch these people. I vehemently don't like the guy that we're going to share next. Kind of Funny Games Cast. I have nothing but issues with Greg Miller.
I forgot we were going to talk about it.
Yeah, this is the last segment we have coming up. But credit where credit is due. These people still have information out there, and you don't have to always agree with the messenger if the message is decent. So enough foreshadowing. We're going to get to this last one. Here
Enough
it is.
Foreplay. Let's get to the fucking.
We got our final segment of the night.
Oh God, what's going on with Todd? Holy shit! Hey there, smooth skin.
Screen cap to someone, and now this will be the new avatar for next week.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hold on.
What face is that?
What a fucking face.
This and the other photo of Tommy Tallarico from the other show we did earlier this week.
There we go.
This is great.
That's what I could say.
Okay. In that, I mean, you brought it up. You said the Elder Scrolls 6. So I mean, like, how is that going? Because it's been, let me check my calendar, 7 years
Since the announcement?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody knows that why we announced it that way then. Yeah, it's not my preference. My preference is always you hear nothing, and then one day the game is out. Like, there's an announcement and the game is out. Like, that's my perfect scenario. That can't always be the case. And at that time, we wanted to signal to people, because it's the obvious question. When you announce a 76, are you still going to be doing single-player games? So you announce a Starfield. The next question is, well, what about Elder Scrolls 6? So that really was... and even then, look, we know where the game is set. We know some things we're doing. Hey, this is going to be happening. And so, look, like I said, it's going well. We're happy with it. It's going to be a while yet. We're happy with where we pushed the technology and how the game is coming together. You know, we're able to play it. We've just we're about to pass a big milestone internally. The majority of the studio is on the game and some of our partners. So. It's weird. I'm not here to sell anything or talk. Really, it's really a catch-up conversation. Yeah. So I feel bad because people want information. I appreciate that, but I'm much more, I like to think long-term about when you really see the game and hear about it, focusing on that moment and kind of, not today or the time.
Can I just point out something that I find very funny?
Yeah.
That Todd Howard has 2 Starfield collector's editions displayed right here.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had an extra 100,000 laying around the warehouse. Someone had to take some.
I think the collector's edition of Starfield sold out relatively quickly, though.
I know, I was joking.
I don't know sometimes.
You fucking no-sold my joke, you son of a bitch. No, I mean, of course he's got collector's editions for it, and that's cool.
I just think it's funny that he's got fucking 2 of them.
I just like the fact that he's like, oh, fuck, do I have to talk about Elder Scrolls?
I don't really want to talk about Elder Scrolls. I know we fucked up by announcing it.
You kind of do. You announced it 7 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
And you haven't even finished the fucking game. Like, the fact that you're just having your studio work on it now, like, we just passed a big milestone. It's probably like the first stone, isn't it?
To be fair, I know that he did say last year that they were all fully on production of it last year.
Oh, so it's only going to be another 4 years till we get it.
I don't know. Maybe it might be a little faster. I think after Starfield and everything, they probably took a lot of extra time to refine that engine a little bit more because they did say that it's going to be on creation number 3.
Yeah.
So I think here I think everyone remembers they had the We Love Player One campaign. Bethesda Game Studios did.
Yep.
And then the next year, every fucking title they released was a multiplayer online service game.
Yeah.
I think what happened with, honestly, ZeniMax as a whole, from what we learned, games kept flopping. Wolfenstein 2 flop. Doom 2016 was not a hardcore seller. It was a flop. I think on the first year, it only sold 950,000 units, which isn't good. Evil Within 2 was a flop. all the Dishonored games have all been statistically flops. Prey flop. All relatively well received and well liked games, by the fan bases, but we're not the multi-million billion-dollar IP sellers that ZeniMax, the studio, would like. So what did they do? Fallout 76, Wolfenstein Youngblood, the Redfall. They fucking made Redfall.
That's a legendary drop right there, dude.
Yeah.
Redfall.
And then even then, they're Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, two games that sold really well, statistically did not make enough money back.
Yeah, they spend too much money.
Yeah, you spend too much money. I think there's only like a little bit left on this one. Let's finish it.
In between.
Well, I assure you, I doubt very few people showed up to the Kind of Funny Games cast expecting you to show footage today. So don't worry, you're in a safe spot.
You just did. There you go. That was it.
Talk to me a little inside the studio game dev stuff, jumping off of the Elder Scrolls 6, but not obviously giving me.
All right, that should do it for that one there too.
God bless Todd.
Flop is a bit too strong. I would probably say didn't meet expectations. Look, flop, not meeting expectations. One's a gentler way of saying it for the exact same outcome, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that a lot of games, generally speaking, were flops. There's no denying that they were flops. Some games might have been sold better. I think what we looked at with, say, for example, Doom versus Doom Eternal and then Doom the Dark Ages, I think Doom Eternal really benefited from COVID.
Yeah.
Because I think it's still the best seller comparatively between the two in terms of early adopters versus overall adoption. Because, Doom 2016 has been sold for like $5 a lot of times.
Yeah, and then people who played Doom Eternal and didn't play 16 were like, holy fuck, I need to go back and play 16. And they would go and get it on sale for real cheap, which is, hey, not bad. I mean, the studio still makes a little bit of money off that.
I don't care how you play the game as long as you enjoy it,
Or don't. If you hate it.
Yeah, find something that you like. Like, don't waste your time.
Yeah, don't bother me with that shit. Fuck you, man.
But that should do it for the show there. Links have all been posted into the description of this YouTube video up there for everyone to go check out. And of course, if you want to watch those interviews in their full on your own time, you could go do it. Support those creators. Obviously, we are kind of stealing a little bit of their content under fair use, though, and we're not watching the full thing. So I would like you to go give them a view, leave them a like, and if you want to be a shill for the show, tell them, hey, this show shouted you guys out, and maybe we could scrape some of their.
Except for on Kind of Funny, don't tell them we watched.
No, especially on Kind of Funny. Because I want to see the down votes and the people telling me.
I want Todd to see this face. That's what I want. We respect Todd Howard here. This is a Todd Howard fearing household right here.
We got Cliffy B and Todd Howard, gaming icons going over.
Literally the Mount Rushmore of gaming, with like 3 more Peter Molyneux or whatever. Mount Rushmore only has 4 people, don't they?
We need to get a couple people on here with like all the weird clips that I have of these game devs, just like posted up here. We need like the Tommy Tellerico photo.
Yeah.
We need Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, of course.
And then whoever else that we could find. Just everyone.
Adam Sessler. Let's just throw him in there.
I want to try to interview Adam Sessler. I want to message him. I was like, "Hello, I'm a fellow Adam."
Hello, Adam. Hello, Mr. Sessler.
Mr. Sessler, you were my childhood hero. Could you come on my show?
Mr. Sessler, can I buy X-Play for $4?
I think I'd have to contact Viacom. I would bring back.
Yeah, you would have to contact. Yeah, but it would be funny to ask him if you could purchase X-Play from him. That he does not own.
Can I purchase your name and likeness rights
for $10? I'm willing to negotiate, only a little bit though.
Did I tell you that's how I got blocked by Smash JT?
Really?
I messaged him and I was like, "Can you help me broker a deal with Grums? I'm willing to buy him. I'm willing to buy his IP rights. My opening
I'm willing
bid
to
is
buy Ember.
$10."
Yeah. Hey, that's a legit offer, you know.
Yeah, it was a strong offer, you know.
Gets it off his back. He doesn't have to worry about Ember anymore.
Yeah, and then he got really mad at me. He started bringing up tweets of mine. He's like, "You can see why I'd be a little upset at you, right?" I'm like, "Yes, but what does that have to do with me buying?"
I'm willing to pay you $10 as a finder's fee, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. It's not bad.
Looking at how much you're asking for your lawsuit, I think you might need that $10 now.
That's true.
But enough about that. This was a fun show, man. Kareem, I really do appreciate you coming on, and I had fun as always. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you out there?
You can find me over on Pin Down on the Pin Down podcast. If you search up Pin Down podcast on YouTube, you can find me over there. We talk about wrestling all the time. Besides that, who knows?
One day I got to sit down and watch you guys again. I was only in for one of those episodes when I was driving home. I've just been so busy, you know.
I think that was seen as retirement.
Yeah, I've just been so fucking busy, you know, like what's going on with my mom and everything. It's just like,
Yeah.
I just feel like such an asshole because I'm like, why am I not
Well,
watching?
you should. Anyway.
But in all honesty, I do appreciate you doing this, Cream. You could be doing so many more productive things on a Friday night, but
At 12 a.m.? No. No. Well, nothing good.
Ando says, "Well, you're being pretty rude, so it's down to $4."
Oh, and then he gets like FOMO, so he tries to negotiate back up to 6.
And Nia says, "Looking forward to finally having you together on Party Chat." Yes,
I will be on there this week. That's one I forgot to mention. Yes. I'm excited.
I am
I'm very
too.
hyped.
Yes. So I'm really excited about that. Finally, a return to normal. I know that we all had issues last week as well.
Issues, yes.
Let's put it nicely.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And yes, I appreciate you, Chrome. Family is more important. Don't worry. Yeah, I understand, but still, it's just time. You know, it's always just about finding time, work, bills, being a good husband, and then of course family stuff and unforeseen stuff.
Try being a mediocre husband. Takes less time.
I feel like I am all the time. I say because I feel bad. I'm playing video games, and my wife just sits there and she just doom scrolls like TikTok or whatever, and I go like, "Am I boring you? Or like, are we boring?" And she's like, "No, I like this." You know, and I'm like, "Oh, you're just being a supportive wife. I know you hate this." But enough about that, everyone. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, knocking on wood right now. We got a full party slate, and I just triggered my dog, so that's smart.
All right.
But we got a full slate hopefully next week. Like I said, Tuesday, Cream and I will be back on Nerdy Neo's Party Chat on his channel, of course, talking about the topics of the week, the questions, and having a good time with that. And then Neo and I will be back with Backlog Battling to talk about the video games we are playing. That has become a bi-weekly show due to my part-time job and everything that's going on in my life. It needs a little bit of extra time to compile some more video game playtime, which I have a lot for the next few weeks, so that should help out good there. Tuesday, or Thursday, I should say, next week, we will be back with Legacy Loading, and as I said, AC will be back on next week as we talk about the video game known as Pokemon's 30th anniversary. With that, everyone, also keep an eye out. This upcoming Monday, we will have an unboxing video for the Limited Run Games Collector's Edition of Lollipop Chainsaw, and that will be our Monday video. With that, everything is out of the way and finally done. Everyone, enjoy your weekend. Stay cool, stay active, stay sexy, and we'll see you all next time